The crack on the brick Li Qianluo obtained completely disappeared, but since she hadn't touched the other two bricks, it still didn't show any special reaction, only quietly absorbing those golden patterns. Li Qianluo looked at the brick in Xiang Beifei's hand in astonishment, then glanced at Xiang Beifei, her expression uncertain. "You actually have the ability to repair the Saint Stone?" Li Qianluo said incredulously. "A simple task." Xiang Beifei casually tossed the brick in his hand and offered it up. However, Li Qianluo didn't take it. Her eyes kept darting around as if hesitating over something. After a while, she asked hesitantly, "What's your relationship with the Saint Stone?" "No special relationship," Xiang Beifei responded. "But you can repair it," Li Qianluo stated seriously. "Perhaps I am destined with it," Xiang Beifei suggested. "Destined? Like how we are destined? What do you think?" Xiang Beifei asked. Li Qianluo's gaze flickered quickly again. Then she put her hand under her chin and began circling around Xiang Beifei. 3 laps to the left, 3 laps to the right. She circled and circled, from the front to the back of Xiang Beifei and back around again, scrutinizing him from every possible angle. "Did you say your family is related to this Saint Stone?" Li Qianluo asked. "Yes," Xiang Beifei replied. "And what exactly is that relationship?" "It's complicated and I'd rather not say," Xiang Beifei answered. Li Qianluo bit her finger thoughtfully, then waved her hand, saying, "Never mind. I'll just give you this brick." "Ha! Who are we to each other, right?" Li Qianluo laughed, sitting down, placing her hand on Xiang Beifei's shoulder, seemingly generous. "All right." Xiang Beifei accepted the brick without fuss. If Li Qianluo hadn't agreed, he would definitely have found a way to negotiate with her, because this brick was indeed important to him. The old giant spirit said it was obtained by his grandfather, so he had to find out more. But Li Qianluo chose to give it to him, sparing him a lot of trouble and saving him from worrying about miscellaneous concerns. Of course, Li Qianluo also considered that since they were both trapped here, it wasn't worth causing a rift over a single brick. If a fight broke out with Xiang Beifei having a giant spirit for support, it would be hard for Li Qianluo to win, so it was better to give a favor when she could. "By the way, your relationship with the giant spirit seems good. Did the giant spirit tell you how to get out of here?" Li Qianluo inquired. Xiang Beifei looked towards the giant spirit village, recalling the words of the old giant spirit, pondering slightly. At this moment, all the Yi tribe practitioners looked at Xiang Beifei with reverence. In their eyes, Xiang Beifei had already become a powerful leader, holding all their hopes. It wasn't just because he had killed Shuang and Flaming Six Wings, who wanted to use practitioners from other races as sacrifices, but also because of the awe-inspiring instance where those terrifying giant spirits applauded Xiang Beifei earlier. The giant spirit reaching out for a friendly high-five with Xiang Beifei left an unparalleled impact on the Yi tribe practitioners. They now realized that following Xiang Beifei might just give them a chance to survive when faced with an attack from the giant spirits. Xiang Beifei surveyed the Yi tribe practitioners below and decided to be honest. The giant spirits mentioned, "There's no divine inheritance here, just a teleportation array to the edge corner airspace, but the giant spirits have now sealed it, so no surprises ahead." An old man from the Jiaojing tribe urgently spoke, "Chief Xiang, we're not counting on inheritance or anything. Now we just want to get out alive." "Exactly, Chief Xiang. Do you have a way to lead us out?" A middle-aged practitioner from the Pierced Chest tribe appeared very anxious. "Yes, Chief Xiang. You've gained the giant spirit's approval. Could you perhaps ask them to let us go?" Ever since the ghost mustache of Remnant Visage, Meat-Winged Monster, and the demon race wanted to use them as sacrifices, they realized that being trapped here equated to death. Leaving was now the utmost priority. As for the so-called inheritance, it seemed less significant now. Even if there were, it would most likely fall into Xiang Beifei's hands, as they all understood they no longer had the eligibility to compete, so it was better to focus on leaving. Countless eyes looked eagerly at Xiang Beifei. Xiang Beifei was silent for a moment, then nodded slightly. "You can leave." "Really? Wonderful. I knew it." This news was uplifting for the Yi tribe practitioners. But the old giant spirit has a request for me to convey, Xiang Beifei added. What's the request? Some practitioners asked urgently. When you leave here, inform your tribespeople not to come here again, as this is now the territory of the giant spirits. If you come next time. Xiang Beifei paused, recalling the old giant spirit's words, a strange look on his face, and continued, of course, it wouldn't matter either way, but you would then be kept as their entertainment, and won't be let out anymore. The giant spirits living here have limited activity, and over time, life becomes quite dull. Practitioners coming here serve as entertainment for them, which is why they only drove these practitioners out of the village, not exterminating them entirely. After hearing Xiang Beifei's words, all the E-tribe practitioners were astonished. Only now did they understand why the giant spirits hadn't exterminated them. It was because the giant spirits were too bored and wanted to watch them fight by the Blackwater River, just like watching a cricket fight, adding some amusement to their lives. Who would dare to come here again in the future? Yes, this is too strange. Please tell the giant spirits. Rest assured, we will definitely not venture into this place again. Let us leave quickly. Many cultivators expressed their firm determination to leave. This place was nothing short of a nightmare for them. Not only were they nearly killed by the giant spirits, but they were also almost sacrificed by the ghost mustache of Remnant Visage, the meat-winged monster, and the demon race. Xiang Beifei didn't care whether these E-tribe cultivators were sincere or not, nor did he care if they would ever return. After all, he was just responsible for reminding them. The giant spirits are incredibly powerful. They could seek death if they wanted to. He looked up at the sky, where thick, massive iron pillars still locked this place tightly. However, he already knew how to unseal it. Buzz! 77 divine patterns spun out, surrounding him and morphing into various mysterious designs. These patterns quickly connected with the chains in the sky. The originally tightly linked chains relaxed upon contact with the divine patterns, suddenly loosening and producing a rumbling collision sound, shaking the sky as if trembling. The vast and ancient aura covered this part of the sky, awe-inspiring every cultivator. The golden giant chains began to extend downward, stretching all the way to Xiang Beifei's feet. Then, Xiang Beifei reached out his hand and slapped the chain. Buzz! The chain twisted and began to rotate, forming an exit. The familiar desolate aura from the outside quickly transmitted in, invigorating all the cultivators. We can leave, Xiang Beifei said. The way to unlock the formation here was naturally taught by the old giant spirit. Because of Xiang Qingda, the old giant spirit cared for Xiang Beifei a lot, teaching him many things. Go! Hurry up! The E-tribe cultivators had no hesitation. They rushed towards the exit, afraid of falling behind and getting trapped here. The desolate aura was distinctly different from the oppressive aura by the Blackwater River, always overshadowed by the powerful aura of the giant spirits, whereas the desolate aura felt much more relaxed. Every E-tribe cultivator greedily breathed in the air of the desolate realm, finally feeling the weight lifted from their hearts. Dao Xiang, thank you for your help. This is the token of our feather race, the colorful divine feathers. Should you hold this token and come to us, we will repay your kindness within our capabilities. Please accept it. An elder from the feather race handed a brilliantly colored feather to Xiang Beifei with great ceremony. This feather was resplendent, appearing in different colors from different angles, representing the highest token of the feather race. Yes, our Jiaojing tribe also owes you a favor. This is a piece of purple gold stone, carrying my aura. I am Hu Shuya, and I hold some status within the Jiaojing tribe. Our doors will always be open to Daoist Xiang. An elder in the mid-stage of the heavenly connection from the Jiaojing tribe also handed over a stone with the character Ye inscribed on it. Hu Shuya, being in the mid-stage of heavenly connection, was considered an upper elder within the Jiaojing tribe. Xiang Beifei pondered and said, "All right." He did not stand on ceremony, accepting it straightforwardly. These tokens of gratitude, if sellable, should always be utilized, and in this unfamiliar desolate realm, having such tokens could save him a lot of trouble. This is our Qixia race's token, We also owe you a favor. A Qixia race elder handed a hard, black object to Xiang Beifei with sincerity. It looked like a large tongue. Taoist Xiang, thank you for avenging my master. The Xiongtou race is eternally grateful to you. Guan Baishan also handed a scale to Xiang Beifei. Many tribes eagerly gave their tokens to Xiang Beifei with great enthusiasm, and Xiang Beifei accepted them all, while Xiaohe happily stored all the tokens and labeled them by tribe for future need. After receiving a heap of tokens, the Yi tribe cultivators bade farewell, transforming into streams of light and hurriedly leaving, seemingly unwilling to linger even a moment longer. Soon, only a few Tianmu race cultivators and Li Qianluo remained on the scene. Chieftain, can I speak with you privately? Fu Qiuzi was very grateful to Xiang Beifei because Xiang Beifei had genuinely saved the 7 Tianmu race cultivators. He stood by Xiang Beifei from beginning to end. Indeed, his choice proved correct. No need to address me as chieftain anymore. Since we left that place, Zhajiang's stronghold no longer exists, no such formalities. Xiang Beifei replied. Very well. Fu Qiuzi nodded slightly and then said, Taoist Xiang, look at the eye on my forehead. Xiang Beifei looked quizzically at Fu Qiuzi's forehead, where a purple eye lit up. This purple eye emitted a peculiar beam of light that directly entered Xiang Beifei's mind. Soon Xiang Beifei understood the ability of Fu Qiuzi's purple eye, which was similar to a separate space where anything could be done without external interference. Then, Fu Qiuzi's voice sounded in Xiang Beifei's mind. Taoist Xiang, there's something I'm unsure if I should say. We are old friends now, speak freely. Xiang Beifei said. Fu Qiuzi hesitated, then decided cautiously, Taoist Xiang, are you not from the Kangji Abyss tribe? Oh? Why do you ask? To be honest, I once communicated with cultivators from Kangji Abyss. I know a bit about their methods and abilities, but Taoist Xiang's methods of killing Shuang and Flaming Six Wings are not possessed by any from Kangji Abyss. Fu Qiuzi said. Whether I'm a part of the human race or not doesn't really matter. Does it? Xiang Beifei replied. That's true, I was just curious. May I boldly ask, are you from the human race? Fu Qiuzi inquired. Xiang Beifei was slightly surprised. Is it that obvious? Funny how his identity as part of the human race always seems to be discovered by Yi tribe cultivators. It was understandable that Shuang and Flaming Six Wings knew, and it was acceptable that Li Qianluo could see it, but even Fu Qiuzi was not deceived. Fu Qiuzi smiled awkwardly and said, Actually, it's just a guess because I couldn't figure out Taoist Xiang's race. Then I realized Taoist Xiang's aura is somewhat similar to some people from the human race I encountered a few years ago. I wanted to know if Taoist Xiang was with those people. Where did you encounter the human race? Xiang Beifei asked curiously. Could it be that Fu Qiuzi had been to Jizhou? Fu Qiuzi replied, a place called Changpan Valley, where thousands of humans lived. Are you from there, Taoist Xiang? Changpan Valley? What kind of place is that? Xiang Beifei did not understand, but there was definitely no place called Changpan Valley in Jizhou. Taoist Xiang is not from the human race of Changpan Valley? Fu Qiuzi stroked his beard and nodded slightly. That makes sense. The humans there are too weak. Someone as powerful as you coming from there wouldn't make sense. And what? Xiang Beifei asked. To be frank, Changpan Valley is the domain of the moon god race. I passed by unknowingly but didn't dare stay long. Honestly, seeing the human race, supposedly extinct for over 3,000 years, still existing there was quite a shock. Changpan Valley? What kind of place is that? Xiang Beifei asked, puzzled, for there was no place called Changpan Valley in Jizhou. To tell you the truth, I didn't trust the moon god race because of their conduct. The moon god race is very adept at fostering faith, and the humans there have no idea what that means. I originally thought Taoist Xiang came from there, so I boldly asked, where is it you encountered the human race? Xiang Beifei asked with curiosity. Could it be that he needed to take the Yu Divine Steel down the Yellow Springs Road? After Fu Qiuzi pointed Xiang Beifei in the right direction, he left with his clansmen. He initially wanted to lead Xiang Beifei, but Xiang Beifei said that wasn't necessary. It was better if he completed this task on his own. Once Fu Qiuzi left, only Li Qianluo remained. Xiao Bei, I need to go home too, or I'll get in trouble for being late. Li Qianluo prepared to leave as well. She stretched, smiled cheekily and said, Coming here, I've gained a lot. It seems like you didn't get anything. Xiang Beifei said. Li Qianluo chuckled. Sometimes what you gain isn't material. Xiang Beifei raised an eyebrow. This is for you, we will definitely meet again. Li Qianluo handed Xiang Beifei a transparent jade pendant. Take it, my token. I'll watch over you in the future. Xiang Beifei looked at the jade pendant. It was peculiar, with only the character Li inscribed on it, emanating a very unique aura, though he couldn't pinpoint what was special about it. He pondered for a bit, then accepted the pendant. Li Qianluo's eyes twinkled, and she asked, Aren't you going to leave me something? I only have a bunch of spiritual power crystals. Xiang Beifei displayed a heap of spiritual power crystals to Li Qianluo, including the too late Heavenly Connection spiritual power crystals that Xiaohe had just fished out from the Black Water River. Those were spiritual power crystals of Flaming Six Wings and Shuwang. Though precious, they couldn't compare to the brick Li Qianluo gave him. Li Qianluo waved her hand, obviously uninterested in those spiritual power crystals, and said, I don't need these, by the way. When you dealt with the giant spirit last time, you used a lot of dirt. Give me a handful of that. You want this? Xiang Beifei found it odd. Breath soil transformed into sand and circled around in his hand. Yes, that's it. Li Qianluo nodded. If you can control this, then leave it to me. Maybe next time I can sense you. Xiang Beifei thought for a moment, then took a piece of breath soil and handed it to Li Qianluo. All right. His breath soil was endless. Taking a handful wasn't a problem. It would just grow back anyway. Ha ha. Li Qianluo looked delighted, cherished her breath soil, then waved her hand. I'll be going, until we meet again. She quickly leaped high into the air, turning into a stream of light, and disappeared into the vast wilderness. Xiang Beifei watched her figure vanish into the horizon and couldn't help but fall into deep thought. At this moment, a great whistling sound suddenly came from the sky. Xiang Beifei looked up and saw a giant foot descending from the sky, ready to crush him. The big foot blotted out the sky like a terrifying giant mountain. If hit, it would flatten him. But he didn't dodge, simply looked calmly at the foot, which quickly shrank as it descended, transforming into Father Pu. You probably have an inkling of her origins, right? The old giant spirit asked with a smile. Xiang Beifei nodded slightly. Then I won't say much more. If you are to continue, you must be cautious. This world is far more complicated than you imagine, the old giant spirit said. Xiang Beifei understood this. In this place where many races coexisted, heavenly connection level experts were countless, and there were mysterious deities like those in Edge Corner airspace. Despite having many life-preserving abilities, he still often felt insignificant. By the way, older father, are you sure you haven't seen my parents? Xiang Beifei asked. The old giant spirit shook his head. If they were mortal scoundrels, I would certainly notice. They likely chose another path. Bone Mountain Desert Stone Cave is a shortcut to Edge Corner airspace, but it was blocked by the old giant spirit. Perhaps Xiang Tianqing and his wife also noticed this and chose not to come here. All right, I must return. If you see your grandfather, send my regards. The old giant spirit smiled, then turned and stepped into the void formed by the array pattern, glancing once more at Xiang Beifei, waving his robe, sealing the land of inheritance once more. Xiang Beifei stood in place reflecting. The old giant spirit was unwilling to talk about Edge Corner airspace. So there were many things Xiang Beifei couldn't know. He could only infer based on known clues. The divine inheritance land of Bone Mountain Desert Stone Cave opens about once every 50 years, and each opening lasts a month. According to E-Tribe cultivators, there used to be no giant spirit village here, nor a black water river blocking the way. But this time they came, not only had it changed drastically, but less than 2 or 3 days after opening, the sky was locked. All of this happened within 30 short years. Xiang Beifei could deduce a specific timeline. Over a decade ago, grandfather went to Edge Corner airspace, Move the Udivine Steel from the Bitter Sea, help the giant spirit race escape. Move them here, then grandfather entered Edge Corner airspace again, possibly went to Common Valley, then encountered something. A brick in his hand shattered and was lost. Woofing Stone's sword broke. He lost his memory, but luckily returned to Jizhou. This, however, brought many questions that puzzled Xiang Beifei. For instance, since grandfather moved the Udivine Steel, why did it appear in Xiang Beifei's spirit gathering book? Could it be that it was grandfather who brought Xiaohe and the spirit gathering book to him? But the timing didn't add up, because when Xiang Beifei awakened the system at 18, grandfather had already lost his memory. Most importantly, at that time, grandfather was already a supreme expert of the immortal realm, extremely powerful. What kind of existence could reduce him to this state? All mysteries seemed to only be unlocked at the Edge Corner airspace. The barren wilderness is vast. This wasn't the first time Xiang Beifei thought this. The endless wilderness, a road that seems to have no end. Now even seeing a desolate beast in the orifice transforming stage, they couldn't care less to even glance at it. Xiang Beifei had been heading north for 4 days, and interestingly enough, the direction Fuqiuzi pointed was exactly the same as the direction the Mound Spirit directed towards Wuhou. Fuqiuzi only vaguely mentioned a direction, telling Xiang Beifei that the moon god race lives at a very high place, and from there you can see 2 moons in the sky. Now he could already see 2 moons, just like when he was at the ruins of Hanxia. Clearly, at that time Hanxia was also shrouded by 2 moons, and now this place should be the territory of the moon god race. Woo! Era was munching on spiritual power crystals like they were candy beans, its aura continuously getting stronger. This guy is really strange. It can get stronger just by eating things. By the looks of Era's aura now, it's already got half a foot into the heavenly connection realm. Alright, let's stop for now and let you reach the heavenly connection realm first before we proceed. Xiang Beifei didn't enter directly into the territory of the meat-winged monster. Instead, he found a secluded forest and stopped by a river. The river water gurgled, looking very clear, with fat carps swimming back and forth inside, harmonious and beautiful. Era's tail shot out like lightning, catching 4 fish at once to prepare for a barbecue. Woof woof. You. The 3 little ones started barking again, discussing what flavor of flame to use. Xiang Beifei looked helplessly at these 3, with one responsible for being silly, another for plotting, and the third as a mascot, constantly bickering. He had already gotten used to it. Of course, Xiaohe could temporarily act as a trump card, surprising others with unexpected attacks, but in a real fight, Xiang Beifei still felt like he needed more battle strength. So he decided to first train Era a bit. Up till now, Era's battle strength was still underwhelming, not really helping Xiang Beifei much in battles. Even though Xiang Beifei didn't expect Era to be a warrior, having an extra helping hand wouldn't hurt. This is largely because the level of fighters Xiang Beifei encountered was getting higher, otherwise Era could still make a difference. After all, back in Jizhou, Era's power was quite impressive, capable of capturing the Su people from the Su Alliance. Moreover, considering it's already in the late stage of orifice transforming, even in Jizhou, it would be on the level of a pioneer minister like Sun Hushuan. Sun Hushuan might not even beat Era. However, in Xiang Beifei's eyes, it's still not enough. A spiritual power crystal from the early heavenly connection stage. Chew on it well. Strive to reach the heavenly connection realm soon. I'll protect you. Xiang Beifei tossed a spiritual power crystal to Era. Era chomped down on it, swallowing the heavenly connection stage early spiritual power crystal whole. Xiang Beifei watched Era expectantly. But the spiritual power crystal went in. Seemed like it didn't do anything to enhance Era. It was like a stone dropped into the sea. Nothing happened. Even its aura didn't change. Why aren't you breaking through? Xiang Beifei couldn't help but urge. Awo! You idiot! A spiritual power crystal thrown into water at least makes a sound. You've eaten so many, and there's not a peep? Xiang Beifei flicked Era's head in exasperation. Era rubbed its belly, and soon its belly started gurgling, as if it still wasn't full. Era indicated that there was a sound now. 3 black lines appeared on Xiang Beifei's forehead. You nitwit! That's not the sound I wanted to hear. Xiang Beifei was completely stumped, propping his chin up as he began pondering over Era's power-up issue. Heavenly Connection Realm requires communication with the Heavenly Tao. Could it be that Era's inability to step into the Heavenly Connection Realm lies here? Xiang Beifei thought of this. But so far, almost every expert in the Heavenly Connection Realm would comprehend their own Heavenly Tao, besides humans having a system as a Tao embryo. Allowing their Heavenly Tao to be diverse, other E-tribe cultivators could only comprehend specific Heavenly Tao. Then what would Era's Heavenly Tao be? Hey, Era, have you ever thought about how to comprehend the Tao? Xiang Beifei inquired. Awo, Era asked what it meant to comprehend the Tao. His expression was truly innocent. Xiang Beifei patted his forehead. Great. This guy is too dumb. Expecting Era to comprehend the Tao is like trying to teach a sow to climb a tree. Woof woof. Xiaohei offered a suggestion. Huh? You said transplant a Tao embryo? That's indeed a good idea. The ghost mustache of Remnant Visage relies on transplanting Tao embryos to strengthen themselves. They can strip humans of their systems and transplant them onto themselves. Whether it's the head-splitting guy, the mouth-slitting girl, or Shuang, they all come from that. Could a Tao embryo also be transplanted to Era? He actually has several system Tao embryos in his hands, all stripped from the ghost mustache of Remnant Visage. Xiaohei transformed them into spiritual power crystals, but they could be reversed back into Tao embryos if needed. Xiang Beifei wasn't too keen on doing that since they are human Tao embryos. However, since they're heading to meet Winged Monster's nest, Era's power definitely needs an upgrade. Otherwise, it's a waste. Might as well let Era use it temporarily. Future matters can be dealt with later. Perhaps Era might even communicate with the Heavenly Tao someday? I'll try to see which one I want to transplant to you. Era, what kind of Tao embryo do you want? Xiang Beifei asked. Woo. You want them all? Do you think Tao embryos are just for playing? Xiang Beifei glared at Era with irritation. Currently, there are 13 system Tao embryos in hand. Ghost Mustache of Remnant Visage can transplant Tao embryos, but it's not done casually. There needs to be compatibility even for Era as well. Let me see. Meat Winged Monsters typically fight with yellow spring water. Must find a Tao embryo targeting them. Xiang Beifei is profoundly knowledgeable about Tao embryos. As a Tao master, he clearly understands the abilities of each type. Woof woof. Woof woof woof. Xiaohei enthusiastically offered strategies, arguing that yellow spring water is actually not that formidable. Whenever he dives into it, those yellow spring monsters flee. I know you're formidable, but Era doesn't have your thick skin. Think carefully. Aside from fearing you, how else can those yellow spring monsters be dealt with? Xiang Beifei asked. Xiaohei tilted his head, wagging his snow-white tail while contemplating the characteristics of the yellow spring monsters. After a while, Xiaohei suddenly said, Woof 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 woof. An SR-level heartbeat system? Woof woof. Woof woof. Woof. Is that possible? You should have told me earlier. I would have tried it last time. Xiang Beifei was somewhat surprised. Xiaohei said, those yellow spring monsters also have a heartbeat. They haven't truly died, just consumed by the yellow spring, becoming creatures controlled by the meat-winged monsters. But with the resonant abilities of the heartbeat systems, heart-throbbing and other special effects, they can disrupt the yellow spring monsters' actions. Although it can't eliminate them, it can throw them into disarray. All right, let's set you up with a heartbeat system then. Xiang Beifei took out the Tao embryo of the heartbeat system, just a crystal of spiritual power, but soon the breath of return to the original state acted on it, slowly restoring it to its original state. Xiang Beifei's eyes immediately sparkled with a subtle black and white glow, perceiving Era's entire meridian network. The spiritual power fluctuations within Era, how to circulate them, and how to wield powers were all clear. Don't know if you can endure it. It might be quite painful. Bear with it a bit. Xiang Beifei located Era's spiritual power outlet on its tail. Era typically fights using its tail, which is quite easy to identify. However, the Tao embryo needs breath compatibility. If it's not compatible enough, it might explode and destroy Era, so Xiang Beifei still needs to be cautious. He carefully controlled the Tao embryo, letting its breath merge with Era's tail. Woo! Era looked rather innocent, without knowing what to do. merely following Xiang Beifei's lead. But then Xiang Beifei suddenly noticed that the anticipated repulsion seemed absent. The SR-level heartbeat system just adhered to Era unexpectedly without a hitch. Huh? So simple? Not even a rejection reaction. Even Xiang Beifei was a bit surprised. Though Era is dumb, it seems to have an adaptable nature, easily connecting with any system Dao embryo. Host. Wooden Kirin. SR level. Heartbeat system. Realm. Early heavenly connection. Awoo. Era lay on the ground looking bewildered. It thought transplanting a Dao embryo would be painful, and it might have to roll around in agony, but it seemed as easy as drinking water. Xiang Beifei carefully examined the aura of the Dao embryo and realized that Era mainly wouldn't be rejected because it was connected to his aura. Well, you're pretty lucky. See how many you can handle, Xiang Beifei said. Era was quite excited, but unfortunately, when Xiang Beifei tried other systems, he found they didn't work at all. Era seemed to have limited energy and could only control one Dao embryo system. But this was actually enough for Xiang Beifei. At least in this way, Era also managed to connect with the heavenly Dao. This was the territory of the meat-winged monster, and next time it could join the fight. Xiang Beifei gave Era some time to adapt to the system. Era pondered for a while, then used the transplanted heartbeat system to electrify the fish in the river, making a bunch of fish pass out from the shocks. Era happily scooped them all up. Yuemong watched enviously from the side, indicating it also wanted a Dao embryo. I'm not sure if it'll work for you, since I picked you up, Xiang Beifei said. Yuemong asked quizzically, wondering if the wooden Kirin was Xiang Beifei's illegitimate child. I couldn't have fathered such a silly creature. Xiang Beifei wiped some sweat away, but Yuemong was persistent, holding its breath, and suddenly 2 leaves extended from its small hands, emitting a fierce aura. Whoosh whoosh, the 2 leaves spun like blades, slicing into the stream. A small fish swimming in the stream sensed them and dodged, but a rock in the river was cut in half by the blades. Xiang Beifei looked at Yuemong in surprise. Since when could you do that? Yuemong gestured with its leafy little hands, and another bit of aura emerged from it. This aura was familiar. Then Xiang Beifei realized that this aura was essentially the same as his own. That's strange. How do you have my aura? You. Oh, I see. Xiang Beifei understood. Every time he trained, Yuemong would be nearby, absorbing the spiritual power he unintentionally released, and over time, it seemed to have acquired part of his own aura. Thinking back, it seemed he hadn't really paid much attention to Yuemong. Yuemong just stayed in his clothes, sometimes poking its head out with big eyes to secretly watch Xiang Beifei fight, never expecting it to help, and he didn't anticipate Yuemong could achieve this level. All right then, let's give you a try too. If possible, he would let this mascot join in battles as well. Let's see what systems we have. Xiang Beifei flipped through the systems he got from the ghost whiskers of the ghostly visage. He couldn't tell from whom these systems were acquired. It wasn't easy for the ghost whiskers to kill high-level system awakeners, so there weren't many high-level Dao embryo systems. Oh? An SR-level green hat system? How did the slit-mouthed woman get her hands on this? There's a green hat system. Xiang Beifei was quite surprised. Many systems are quite strange and special, only triggerable under certain conditions, such as the old driver system and catering system, which only demonstrate system abilities in human society. If the ghost whiskers existed in a social structure different from humans, these systems would be useless to them. As for the green hat system, becoming stronger by either being cheated on or cheating on others, Xiang Beifei wasn't sure how the slit-mouthed woman made use of it. Awoo. Era suggested, with a patch of green leaves on Yuemong's head, that a little hat would be quite fitting for Yuemong. He enthusiastically used his power to control wood to turn the leaves on Yuemong's head into a little green hat. You've got to be kidding me. Does green hat system mean wearing a green hat? Xiang Beifei couldn't help but curse. Awo? Era asked blankly. Isn't it? Sigh, this is not that kind of green hat. Stop messing around and quit teasing Yuemong. Xiang Beifei smoothed out the tiny patch of leaves on Yuemong's head, then tossed the system aside and continued checking other systems. Soon, his eyes lit up as he discovered a very special system. SSR level stronger when encountering the strong system. This was the only SSR level 1, initially transplanted into Shuang, but Shuang never used it when facing Xiang Beifei. As long as you encounter an individual stronger than yourself, be it in conversation, shaking hands, or fighting, it can make you stronger, and especially in battles, you can preemptively use the strength value to enhance your combat power. This system is nice. Yuemong can give it a try. After all, Yuemong would stick to him every day, and he was much stronger than Yuemong, representing a perfect example of stronger when encountering the strong. Xiang Beifei, following the aura on Era just now, merged the Dao embryo into a beam of light, wrapping it around Yuemong. However, it was obvious that adapting the Dao embryo to Yuemong was much more troublesome than with Era. With Era, it felt seamless, but for Yuemong, there was an uncoordinated resistance. If it were an ordinary race daring to transplant a Dao embryo like this, they'd likely be directly countered by it and perish. The ghost mustache of Remnant Visage must have gathered quite a few systems, but they would certainly pay some price to transplant them onto themselves. Yuemong looked extremely uncomfortable. The branches and leaves on his body even started to curl, and the leaves began to turn yellow and roll up. Maybe we should give up? Xiang Beifei worried that Yuemong would be lost. Yu. Yuemong shook his head frantically, indicating he must persevere. But your condition looks rather bleak, Xiang Beifei said. Yuemong was in such pain that he bent over, but still gritted his teeth and tried to stand straight, uttering with a determined voice, Yumeng, Yu. His race was wiped out by the ghost mustache of Remnant Visage. If they could transplant a Dao embryo, then he must succeed as well, otherwise how would he avenge his clan in the future? Xiang Beifei finally understood, realizing that Yuemong always remembered the revenge. Yuemong, who appeared carefree every day, never showed these thoughts. Xiang Beifei thought Yuemong had moved past the shadows. With a slight sigh, Xiang Beifei said, All right, I'll help you again. This time he focused on the system Dao embryo, suppressing its power without limit. The Dao embryo had already been cultivated to the heavenly connection state and had a strong aura of oppression. Era, because of its thick skin and being at the late stage of orifice transforming, could withstand this terrifying pressure, but Yuemong could not. Xiang Beifei hesitated for a moment and then extracted a large portion of the power contained in this Dao embryo, taking out enough until Yuemong could bear it. After the power of the Dao embryo weakened, Xiang Beifei finally managed to attach it, at which point a system interface appeared above Yuemong's head. Host, Yumeng. SSR level stronger when encountering the strong system. Realm, mid-stage meridian opening. Yuemong felt somewhat disappointed when he saw his realm strength. Like Era, they reached the heavenly connection realm at once. While he was just at mid-stage meridian opening, this level of strength was insignificant. If relying on himself, he couldn't figure out how to take revenge. Xiang Beifei reached out to pat Yuemong's head, comforting, All right, don't be despondent. With the system Dao embryo, your strength will increase faster, right? At this moment, a line of information appeared on Yuemong's system interface. Xiang Beifei patted your head. Strength value plus 999. Xiang Beifei comforted you. Strength value plus 999. Woof woof. Xiaohe also saw Yuemong's system interface, then ran over and patted Yuemong's head. Xiaohe patted your head. Strength value plus 500. Yuemong noticed this line of value and was soon surprised. See, every day you're with us, even head pats can make you stronger. Xiang Beifei chuckled. Hearing that head pats could make one stronger, Era quickly wagged its tail and patted Yuemong's head, then howled, oh, asking how many system values its head pats added for Yuemong. See for yourself. Era couldn't see other systems, but Xiang Beifei, after understanding the essence of head pats, found a way to let others temporarily see the system. Xiang Beifei spread some spiritual power onto Era's eyes, and Era excitedly looked towards Yuemong's system interface. Wooden Kirin patted your head. Strength value plus 250. Era's smile froze.
Oh.
Era rolled around on the ground in protest, expressing discontent, not minding losing to Xiang Beifei. But how could it not compare to Xiaohe? Xiaohe mischievously stretched out its claws and pressed them on Era's head. Woof woof! Era widened his eyes because he discovered that his system reward was taken by Xiaohe. Now that Era is bound to the system, it means Xiaohe can also control Era's system. As long as Xiaohe is willing, he can make Era suffer quite a bit. Era rolled his eyes. However, the strength value somewhat surprised Xiang Beifei. Xiaohe didn't have much combat power, yet he gained more than Era. But considering Xiaohe is skilled at controlling systems, this Dao embryo is well aware of Xiaohe's prowess, so it's understandable. Xiaohe and Era, in order to help Yumong improve, began taking turns patting Yumong's head, touching from different directions, but this action of head patting no longer increased the system value. The same action can only increase once a day, as is the case with many systems. Alright, stop it, or Yumong will end up bald. Xiang Beifei slapped them away. However, Xiaohe and Era immediately changed tactics and started to tease Yumong, giving him a new hairstyle. You were teased by Xiaohe, strength value plus 500. You were teased by Wooden Kirin, strength value plus 250. Being teased by a target more powerful than himself also strengthened Yumong. While mumbling, Yumong curiously watched the system values. This system actually makes it easy for you to get stronger. Just hang out with us daily. This wilderness is full of desolate beasts stronger than you, so improving is no big deal, Xiang Beifei said. Yumong seemed much happier because the system's feature meant the weaker he was, the faster his growth. That is to say, the greater the gap between Yumong and a stronger target, the higher the strength value added each time. For instance, there was currently a huge gap between Yumong and Xiang Beifei, so being by Xiang Beifei's side could give him a very significant system value increase, while the gap with Era, although not small, was not as large as with Xiang Beifei, resulting in a relatively lower system value increase. You can now try battling some Meridian opening stage desolate beasts. Era and Xiaohe will accompany you, and try not to go too far. Xiang Beifei considered and then added a protective layer of spiritual power around Yumong to prevent him from getting withered. Yumong nodded, and the three little guys then ran off, heads bobbing. Xiang Beifei wasn't worried about these three. Within this place, their self-preservation ability should be sound. Xiang Beifei himself sat back down and finished the leftover grilled fish, which tasted quite good. After taking care of dinner, the sky turned completely dark, and Xiang Beifei conjured up a small shed using breath soil, then began his training. Currently, his abilities had reached mid-stage heavenly connection, and the 77 divine patterns had greatly enhanced his strength. He knew very well that if distinguished by deities, a giant spirit would definitely be considered one of them. However, his comprehension of the divine patterns was not yet thorough. This was not something that you could just understand by fusing and connecting the dots. It required self-reliance. Xiang Beifei trained for an hour, and suddenly, those three came running back, and Era was howling, expressing he had a new discovery. You heard human heartbeats? Xiang Beifei exclaimed in surprise. A woo. Era nodded, indicating that just now, while accompanying Yumong on a monster hunt, Yumong was dealing with a late-stage meridian opening caterpillar. He idly used the heartbeat system and perceived many heartbeats, some of which had the same rhythm as humans. But since it was Era's first time controlling the system, too many noisy heartbeats flooded his mind, leaving him dazed, so he quickly blocked the perception. Now he couldn't figure out where those human heartbeats were, or if he had made a mistake. Let me see. Xiang Beifei stood up, and his eyes quickly lit up, with black and white spiritual power swirling around him, forming a system interface in front of him. Dao Master. Xiang Beifei. Dao level. Heartbeat system. Realm. Mid-stage heavenly connection. He directly mimicked Era's heartbeat system, then fully amplified his orifice perception, rapidly spreading it outward. In an instant, countless heartbeats flooded into his perception. The heartbeats here were incredibly messy because there were all kinds of powerful desolate beasts around, each with its own heartbeat mixed in. The differing beats also explained why, as a novice, Era couldn't accurately pinpoint them. Fortunately, Xiang Beifei's orifice perception was exceptionally strong. His control over the heartbeat system was far more adept than Era's. By focusing on the frequency of human heartbeats, he could isolate those that didn't match this frequency. Xiang Beifei flew several more kilometers north, narrowing the distance, allowing him to hear more clearly, and soon he detected familiar heartbeat frequencies. It was indeed human heartbeats, and there seemed to be quite a few of them. That should be the place Fu Qiuzi mentioned. Xiang Beifei raised his head, looking at the two moons hanging in the sky. His eyes flashed with a faint gleam. The two moons in the sky are exceptionally bright, gazing at each other from a distance. Their round contours flawless, like jade discs radiating sacred white light, covering the wilderness of the night with a layer of silver frost. The endless deep mountains and ancient forests are vast and boundless, stretching beyond sight. The trees here grow remarkably tall, each reaching hundreds of meters high, while various fierce, desolate beasts move up and down between the woods. The mountain peaks, undulating and indistinct, are arranged with great regularity, crooked and twisted, yet each peak is not far from another, with some merely 3 or 4 meters apart, forming a narrow passage like a canyon corridor. At each mountain range's pass, there are intertwined white vines, woven into sturdy gates, firmly sealing the pass. The white vines seem to absorb the essence of the moonlight, emanating a gentle glow under its cover. A flying insect flutters up and down towards those white vines, seemingly wanting to rest on them. But as soon as it touches the vines, a walla sound is heard. The white vines resonate with a strange aura, instantly disintegrating the insect into tiny specks of white light, disappearing into the vines. The desolate beasts in the forest had been eyeing the valley intently, but upon seeing those vines emitting white light, they reluctantly retreated into the darkness. The white vines act like a solid barrier, keeping the ferocious beasts out of the valley. White vines crawl over every mountain peak, like a net, covering the high mountains. However, one mountain alone is not covered by these vines, with plants that grow very sacredly, all white, emitting gentle light at night. On the mountain there stands a tall stone platform, made from some kind of jade, translucent and radiant. On this platform stands a holy statue of a radiant young man, exceedingly handsome, to the point where one cannot discern his gender. However, this handsome young man has 12 pairs of wings. Below this ambiguous statue, countless beast-skin-draped humans stand, lining the mountain steps from bottom to top, each with a devout expression, gazing at the handsome statue with eyes fervently praying for something. At the front is a robust, middle-aged man dressed in coarse linen clothes, seemingly the most revered among the humans. He stands there, muttering incantations to himself. Great divine Lord above, bless our human race with favorable weather, and let our Mengdong hunt be fruitful, so we can survive this winter. The middle-aged man leads by kneeling, performing rituals solemnly. Divine Lord, bless us. Many humans standing on the steps behind also kneel, shouting loudly. Worship a meat-winged monster? Xiang Beifei slightly furrows his brow. A chilling glint flashes in his eyes. He searched for a long before finding this place, but his first glance at this scene ignited in him a fury. These humans seem completely unaware of what the 12-winged birdman signifies. But he quickly suppresses his anger. As long as he can see the two moons, the place belongs to the meat-winged monster. Although Xiang Beifei has a certain level of strength now, he dares not act rashly here. Each flaming 6 wings has late-stage heavenly connection power, so no one knows if there are winged 8, winged 10, but at least the 12-winged birdman before him is absolutely not a trivial being, perhaps a master of the immortal realm. Especially those 2 moons in the sky. Xiang Beifei looks up at the bright, luminous jade disk, indeed not an ordinary moon. In his perception, the moon resembles the eyes of a lurking monster, possessing powerful surveillance abilities. A woo? Era impatiently rubs its tail, ready to settle the score with those meat-winged monsters. No, we must first figure out these people's situation. Xiang Beifei shakes his head. These humans are evidently not normal. They worship meat-winged monsters, making things complicated. Changing their perception would be difficult. If suddenly jumping out to tell them that the 12-winged birdman is a disgusting meat-winged monster, no one would believe it. He must plan carefully. The prayer at the top of the mountain continued for an entire hour before the humans on the mountain gradually descended, returning to the village at the mountain's foot. The village is extremely primitive, built simply with straw and stone, wooden fences forming small yards, with some vegetables planted inside, while some desolate beast meat is dried on racks, turned into jerky. Xiang Beifei quietly follows these people, walking along the mountainside, looking at these ancient buildings, temporarily feeling as if he had returned to the era of primitive farming. He can be sure these humans are most likely the Hanxia human race captured by meat-winged monsters 3,000 years ago, and after 3,000 years, these humans still live in such primitive conditions. These humans, same as Hanxia humans, are vastly different compared to Zhuzhou. Zhuzhou has a startling level of social development. Its technology is very advanced, while here it's as if they live increasingly backward, even more regressive than the original Hanxia social structure. Woof woof, Xiaohe asked seriously. It seems that the meat-winged monster has interfered with the human development here, Xiang Beifei said. If the humans here were being domesticated by the meat-winged monster, then the meat-winged monster would certainly not allow the humans to freely develop. Only by interfering with humans, breaking their rising momentum, and forcing them to live primitively, would they be easiest to control. Xiang Beifei looked around, and the number of humans capable of cultivation was surprisingly few. The strongest one was merely that leading middle-aged man, whose cultivation was only at the late meridian opening stage. Moreover, he didn't have a system and was on the path of body cultivation. Simply relying on cultivating power to reach such a level, he was indeed a very talented martial artist. Oh, Era asked whether to contact these people. Xiang Beifei pondered for a moment and shook his head slightly. There are still two giant eyes in the sky watching the humans here. If a stranger appeared in the human tribe here, it would attract the attention of the meat-winged monster. He continued walking along the valley, following the late-stage meridian opening middle-aged man, relying on his stealth ability so no one could see him. The middle-aged man greeted other villagers while walking, but he suddenly stopped by a thatched house, turning his head toward it. The thatched house was unlit, completely dark. "Where's Zhang Laolu?" the middle-aged man asked a young man with a bone blade hanging at his waist beside him. The young man also stopped and glanced at the thatched house, saying, "Clan leader, he might have gone to look for Xiaohozi." The middle-aged man was slightly startled. "So late, and he hasn't returned?" Uncle Zhang still firmly believes his son is alive and refuses to come back. He says he wants to see the body even if he dies. But the young man paused and said, "Honestly, when that terrifying Chonghong mink charged at us, we could only scatter in all directions. Xiaohozi ran apart from us and hasn't returned yet. There's probably no hope." But you know Uncle Zhang's temper. He stubbornly believes his son isn't dead and rushed into the woods like a madman to search. We tried persuading him for a long time, but he just wouldn't come back. The area is extremely dangerous due to the strong desolate beasts, so for safety, we had to withdraw first. The middle-aged man's expression was very serious. Zhang Laolu has only this one son at an old age, so it's understandable he won't accept reality. It's so dark now. If something happens to Zhang Laolu, it'll be trouble. You go back first, I'll go find him. But clan leader, it's not safe for you either. Shouldn't we gather a few more people? The young man said. No need. They all need rest. Groping in the dark. If something happens to you guys, it'll be troublesome. Don't worry. I know my limits. The middle-aged man hurriedly turned around and ran toward the outside of the valley. Xiang Beifei glanced at the middle-aged man disappearing into the darkness, then looked at the young man, and suddenly he moved, pulling the young man into an alley. Who are you? The young man was about to shout, but a gleam had already appeared in Xiang Beifei's eyes. The young man's eyes immediately became dazed. Xiang Beifei used his respected as a criterion ability to hypnotize the young man. First answer a few questions for me, Xiang Beifei said. All right. The young man nodded dully. A quarter of an hour later, Xiang Beifei left the village, silently following the middle-aged man. Although he was further away than the middle-aged man, catching up was only a matter of a moment. He had briefly questioned the young man named Jiang Dahu just now, gaining some understanding of the situation. The humans here indeed live in a primitive ancient way. Their food source comes from regularly going to hunt desolate beasts, and fighting against fierce desolate beasts inevitably leads to casualties. Xiao Hozi, in their mouths, refers to a member of a hunting team that went out to find edible beef in the morning, accidentally encountering the Chonghong mink. The Chonghong mink possesses late-stage meridian opening strength, very powerful, and scattered these people, causing trouble for Xiao Hozi too. Xiao Hozi is named Jiang Ho, the son of Jiang Laolu. Jiang Laolu's original name is Jiang Shan, but he was ranked 6th in his family, so he's always called Jiang Laolu. Upon learning that his son didn't return, he immediately went to find him, searching from noon until now. The clan leader just now is named Jiang Feng, the strongest, responsible for protecting all human safety. Jiang Feng was currently running towards the location where Xiao Hozi encountered trouble in the afternoon, stopping only after half an hour. But Jiang Feng soon frowned, as it was too dark here to know where Jiang Laolu was. Swish! A dark shadow suddenly leapt from the darkness, charging rapidly at Jiang Feng, moving extremely fast and producing a sharp whistling sound. However, Jiang Feng reacted quickly, turning and punching towards the dark shadow. Bang! A low growl echoed from the darkness. Jiang Feng's face slightly changed. Damn it! It's the Chonghong mink. They're still lurking here. This is bad. Jiang Laolu might not be able to fight off the Chonghong mink. Swish! The shadow in the dark attacked again, reaching extreme speed, creating several cold glints in the air as it clawed fiercely. However, Jiang Feng held his breath and concentrated, clenching his fist again to strike against the darkness, soon engaging in battle with the Chonghong mink. Xiang Beifei watched the battle silently in the darkness, pondering. Woof woof. Xiaohe asked whether to help. No need, he can handle the Chonghong mink. It's just a matter of time. Jiang Feng indeed possessed some skill. He was a body cultivator with strong explosive power. Handling a late-stage meridian opening Chonghong mink wouldn't be a problem. Xiaohe, you keep watch here? I'll go search. Xiang Beifei immediately turned and walked toward the dense forest on another side, standing by a tree as his eyes flickered with black and white aura, soon forcibly converging a system interface. Dao Master. Xiang Beifei. Dao Level Time Trace System. Stage. Mid-Heavenly Connection. The Time Trace System was the system awakened by Chen Baiwan of Yenzhou University at the time, capable of recreating traces of a place, even various attack positions. Back then, Chen Baiwan used this system to track Xiang Beifei during the freshman tournament. Xiang Beifei unleashed the ability of Time Trace, soon revealing numerous shadows in the forest ahead, various desolate beasts constantly passing by, and 2 Biluo tigers fighting each other an hour ago. He pushed the time back according to Jiang Dahu's account, setting the incident time as morning, and Xiang Beifei reversed the time trace ability to the morning. Chen Baiwan could then only reverse events within 3 hours, but this system in Xiang Beifei's hands could reverse a year's events without problem. Very soon, the morning scene was recreated. Jiang Dahu and the others proceeded through the forest, when suddenly a Chonghong mink dashed over, scattering these people. Xiang Beifei quickly heard Jiang Dahu shouting at a young boy, "Xiao Hozi, hurry! This way!" The young boy should be Jiang Ho. He was very young, about 17 or 18 years old, and appeared very immature, seemingly terrified by the Chonghong mink, rushing headlong into the opposite forest. Xiang Beifei immediately followed. Jiang Ho ran like a headless fly, stumbling along until he suddenly fell into a pit. Yet in this pit, a large purple snake jumped out fiercely, biting him firmly and then swallowing him. What a pity! Xiang Beifei sighed for a moment, glanced into the pit where the purple gold snake was resting, its belly still bulging, apparently digesting. He waved his hand and killed this purple gold snake. But inside the purple gold snake's belly, There was already only a piece of corroded and unrecognizably mangled bones. Xiang Beifei sighed and used return to the original state to restore it, appearing as Jiang Ho indeed. Only Xiang Beifei couldn't revive him. Then let's infiltrate this primitive human tribe under Xiao Hozi's identity for now. He stored away Jiang Ho's remains, and then prepared to disguise himself as another Jiang Ho. Only this way it wouldn't raise much suspicion. Otherwise, if there were an increase in strangers in the human tribe, the meat-winged monster would certainly notice, causing trouble. Meanwhile, the system interface in front of Xiang Beifei started changing. Dao Master. Xiang Beifei. Dao level, transforming Dao embryo. Stage. Mid-heavenly connection. This is the transforming clan's ability in the land of inheritance. Xiao Hozi. Xiao Hozi. Please don't let anything happen to you. In the darkness, a middle-aged man over 50 years old leaned against a rock, panting heavily, muttering to himself. His body was covered in blood, with a large gash on his chest, exposing bone fragments, seemingly pierced by sharp claws, just inches from his heart. Beside him lay the corpse of a massive desolate beast, resembling a bat. Its wingspan stretched 4 to 5 meters, with long bone blades at the tips, incredibly sharp and reflecting a cold gleam under the moonlight. This was a mad bat, possessing mid-stage meridian opening strength, active at night with remarkable combat abilities. It could swiftly hunt prey under the cover of darkness, and ordinary desolate beasts would lose their heads before realizing its approach. The man was Jiang Shan, tirelessly searching the forest for his son, having narrowly escaped death at the hands of this mad bat. Thankfully, in the village, he was considered one of the top fighters, and despite his severe injuries, his formidable physical strength allowed him to kill the mad bat. Jiang Shan was gravely injured, barely able to stand, yet driven by determination to find his son and bring him home alive. He grasped a branch to pull himself up, walking forward step by step. He had instructed his son, if lost in the wild, to seek a hunting cave. During hunts, villagers set up caves nearby as temporary shelters from danger, called hunting caves. These caves contained food supplies, medicinal herbs, and repellents for venomous creatures and desolate beasts, reserved for villagers lost during hunts. Jiang Shan, an experienced hunter, knew the area's hunting caves well, searching through 23 of them without finding his son, but believed he would find him in the next one. I can't fall. I can't fall. Xiao Hozi is still waiting for me. He deeply regretted that he only had a child at 42, pampering him like a treasure, but discovered as he grew that he disliked training, hunting, lacking survival skills. In a tribe where men must learn to fight and hunt, as his son neared adulthood, Jiang Shan forced him to learn. For the first 4 hunts, Jiang Shan accompanied him, teaching him, but this time, let his son join others, hoping he would become independent. But unexpectedly, Jiang Shan did not accompany him, and Xiao Hozi did not return, prompting Jiang Shan's frantic search. Jiang Shan painstakingly broke a branch to use as a crutch, moving toward the next hunting cave. Along the way, he tripped numerous times over tree roots in the dark but climbed up again, driven by the belief his son awaited rescue. However, the woods suddenly sounded with rustling, as if countless shadows were rushing through the air, accompanied by silent sound waves invading his mind. Alarmed, he realized another group of mad bats was approaching. The shadows moved too quickly for him to evade, knocking him to the ground. Despair enveloped him as he feared there was no escape, but his son's safety remained his only concern. Xiao Hozi, forgive your father, he sighed. Swish, swish. Darkness overwhelmed his consciousness, as if he was plunging into an abyss. Yet, in the remnants of his consciousness, he vaguely saw a figure standing before him, effortlessly slashing through the approaching mad bats. That silhouette, though not revealing much aura, stood like a mountain, blocking all danger from outside. Son! Son! Jiang Shan awoke with a start, his forehead moist with sweat. He wiped it away, hastily sitting up, realizing he was somehow back home, lying in his own bed. You're awake. Xiang Beifei sat beside the table, resting his chin on his hand, looking at Jiang Shan. Seeing Xiang Beifei stunned Jiang Shan, his eyes reddening as he hurried out of bed, confirming it was his son. He wanted to reach out but restrained himself. As long as you're all right. He sat down wearily, the tension finally releasing inside him. Not a father skilled in expressing emotions, seeing his son alive was his greatest comfort. Jiang Shan glanced around, puzzled. How did we get back? It was the clan leader, he found us, Xiang Beifei replied. In truth, he found Jiang Shan, brought him along Jiang Feng's path, then lay down pretending to sleep until the clan leader Jiang Feng arrived. The clan leader, so it was the clan leader. Jiang Shan nodded slightly, then asked solemnly, What happened yesterday? Hunting with them, I always told you not to panic in danger, to stay with the group. How did you get lost? I don't know, Xiang Beifei said. Seeing Xiang Beifei's expression, Jiang Shan's heart softened, his stern demeanor easing as he clenched his fists. It's my fault. I shouldn't have been so strict, forcing you to train and fight desolate beasts. He deeply regretted that in order to train his son, he forced him to go out hunting, hoping to let his son grow through bloodshed. But his son still lacked experience and nearly lost his life. You don't need to apologize, Xiang Beifei said. I don't know what happened yesterday. Jiang Shan was slightly startled. What does that mean? He frowned. I don't remember who I am. I don't even remember where this place is. I only know that my head hurts a lot. Xiang Beifei pointed at his own head. He wasn't Jiang Ho, but he had to disguise himself as Jiang Ho to investigate the situation here. The only way not to raise suspicion was through amnesia. You don't remember any of this. Jiang Shan stood up, walked behind Xiang Beifei, and indeed, there was still a scar on the back of Xiang Beifei's head, as if it had been injured from a hit. Did you hit your head? Jiang Shan asked. Don't know, just feel a lot of pain in the head. When I try to recall, my head just aches. Xiang Beifei replied. Amnesia. Jiang Shan's face became anxious again, and he started pacing around the room. After a while, he began coughing again, his chest muscles faintly painful. Your injuries aren't healed yet, Xiang Beifei said. Actually, Jiang Shan's injuries were very severe, and normally, it wouldn't heal even after lying down for half a month. But he needed some cover, so he treated Jiang Shan a bit, but not fully healed. Just handled the fundamental internal injuries, leaving the superficial ones for him to recover on his own, in order not to raise suspicion. I'm fine, you're more important. You really don't remember anything? Jiang Shan asked urgently. Xiang Beifei shook his head. I don't know who you are. I'm your father. Jiang Shan raised his voice. No impression. Xiang Beifei still shook his head. Jiang Shan became even more anxious but soon calmed down again, saying, It's okay. Not remembering is not important. The important thing is that you're alive and came back. We'll find a way to help you remember. What if I never remember? Xiang Beifei asked. Jiang Shan furrowed his brow, paced beside Xiang Beifei, and only after a long time did he say, It's okay too. You can reacquaint yourself here. As long as you're alive, that's good enough. Xiang Beifei still rested his chin on his hand, not responding. Knock, knock, knock. The door knocked at this moment. Jiang Shan immediately went to open the door, and clan leader Jiang Feng was standing at the doorway. Seeing Jiang Shan could get out of bed and move, he also smiled. Lao Lu, you're awake? Jiang Feng walked in, glanced at Jiang Shan for a moment. Then upon seeing Xiang Beifei seated by the table with a decent complexion, he nodded slightly. Clan leader, Shao Houzi remembers nothing. Jiang Shan said anxiously. I know, when I found you both last night, I already learned about your situation. He also doesn't remember me. Jiang Feng walked behind Xiang Beifei, reached out to check the injuries on the back of Xiang Beifei's head, and after a while, said, He must have accidentally hit his head during yesterday's escape, causing amnesia, but surviving is already fortunate amidst misfortune. Jiang Feng then amiably patted Xiang Beifei's shoulder and smiled. You little monkey. Next time be more careful when you go out. Okay. Xiang Beifei replied. By the way, Lao Lu, you haven't told me what happened last night. Where did you find Xiao Hozi? Zhang Feng asked. Zhang Shan frowned and said, wasn't it the clan leader who found us? But when I found you, Xiao Hozi was already with you. The two of you were lying in the dark, not yet attacked by desolate beasts. It was truly the Divine Lord's blessing. Zhang Feng said. Zhang Shan felt strange because before he lost consciousness last night, he clearly saw someone blocking in front of him. He looked at Xiang Beifei in confusion, at first thinking that person was his son, but upon waking, he realized his son wasn't capable of such feats. It must be the clan leader, but the clan leader denied it, so who on earth is it? Xiang Beifei secretly sweated. The aura, respected as a criterion, surged out, enveloping the two of them, saying, it was indeed the clan leader who saved us? Have you forgotten, clan leader? Jiang Feng's gaze turned vacant. Then he snapped back to reality, saying, oh, look at my mind. Zhang Shan did not pursue the matter further, having been influenced by Xiang Beifei. It's good that you two are all right. I have other matters to attend to, so I'll be leaving. If you have any important matters, come find me. Zhang Feng checked Zhang Shan's wounds again, left some herbs, and then departed. Come, I'll take you to meet others again, to see if you can remember anything, Zhang Shan said. Okay. Xiang Beifei did indeed need to learn some information. This is Changpan Valley. Xiang Beifei didn't know why it was named so, but Zhang Shan told him that the humans living here were situated in a meandering valley stretching a great distance, hence the name Changpan Valley. There is no record of where their ancestors came from. They only know that humans have lived here for generations. It wasn't that they never thought of expanding their territory, leaving this mountain range, but the wilderness outside is too perilous. Within 200 kilometers of Changpan Valley, the power of desolate beasts is at most at the meridian opening stage, but the further out one goes, the terrifying desolate beasts become unstoppable, so for generations, they've been trapped here. Xiang Beifei wasn't surprised. This was the territory of the meat-winged monster, which captured the human race here and used desolate beasts as barriers, practically raising them like livestock. The humans here can't cultivate their strength to a high level and simply can't leave. But now, what Xiang Beifei most wanted to understand was why the meat-winged monster was raising humans here. And then what? Is it to kill humans and seize Dao embryos? But the humans here haven't even awakened their Dao embryos. Unlike Jojo, where it's systemically awakened at 18. So how would they seize the Dao embryos? Why do you say the Divine Lord blesses? Xiang Beifei asked. Zhang Shan turned around, looking solemnly. Because of ancient legends, we humans are servants left in the mortal world by the Divine Lord. And because of our mistakes, we must endure various trials of life and death. Only by offering well to the Divine Lord can we live better. We humans are not the servants of those birdmen. Xiang Beifei frowned. Xiao Hozi, do not be rude. Zhang Shan's face turned pale, quickly pulling Xiang Beifei aside, reprimanding. You're amnesiac now, so I won't mind, but never say such things again, especially not in front of others, or the consequences will be severe. How severe? Will I be burned to death? Xiang Beifei retorted. It's not impossible. There are various punishments in the clan. This is something we are born remembering, engraved in our bones. Zhang Shan sternly reprimanded. Engraved in the bones? A hint of coldness flashed in Xiang Beifei's eyes. The meat-winged monster surely had a scheme, capturing and raising humans, oppressing their survival, restricting their development, and instilling the idea of being servants of the Divine Lord from a young age. Their means truly are layered. Xiang Beifei did not continue to argue. He asked again, what legends are there about those winged people? It's the Divine Lord. Xiao Hozi. It's the Divine Lord. Zhang Shan corrected. Whatever, just tell me. I'm listening, Xiang Beifei said. Here we are constantly attacked by various desolate beasts, especially a very troublesome evil creature that attacks us every year. We call them the Netherworld Wraiths. Those disgusting things we have no way to fend off, and every year we suffer countless deaths and injuries. But do you see those white vines? Jiangshan pointed to the vines at the entrance of each valley. During the day, the vines lay dormant, but at night, they emitted a faint white glow. That is the protection left by the Divine Lord. The Divine taught us to plant these vines to guard against the Netherworld wraiths. Moreover, every year when the Netherworld wraiths raid, the Divine Envoy also comes to assist. Jiangshan seemed very grateful to the Divine Lord. Xiang Beifei was silent for a moment, then asked, "What do those Netherworld wraiths look like?" "Horns grow on their foreheads, yellow meat wings on their backs, without feathers, covered in disgusting lumps, like toads, able to spew yellow water, corroding our villages. Only the Divine Envoy can resist these Netherworld wraiths," Jiangshan said solemnly. The creature Jiangshan described is the meat-winged monster. Xiang Beifei understood. The moon god race has two forms. When they show their murderous intent, they reveal their true form as meat-winged monsters resembling toads with long wings and horns. Normally, they disguise themselves as holy white birdmen. To control the human race, they first have part of them transform into the ferocious image of the meat-winged monster to attack the village, then let another part appear in a holy form to repel the so-called Netherworld evil spirits, making the captive human race genuinely grateful to these holy deities. This self-directed and self-acted drama, they perform quite well. It seems necessary to let these humans realize the connection between the meat-winged monsters and the birdmen. But Xiang Beifei was not in a hurry. He first needed to determine what exactly the meat-winged monsters intended by keeping these humans captive, and how they treated the human race here, and then find the source of the Netherworld to make those meat-winged monsters pay the price. In order to help his amnesiac son remember this place, Jiangshan took Xiang Beifei for a tour around the entire Pan Mountain Valley, introducing every place clearly with the hope that his son might recall something. "This is the place you used to play often when you were young. You were relatively skinny and more agile than your peers, climbing faster than anyone else. So everyone gave you the nickname Xiao Hozi," Jiangshan said, pointing at a steep rock wall. On this cliff face, there were many uneven rocks, and several youths were gathered on the cliff practicing climbing. Climbing was a skill that men in the tribe had to master from a young age, because knowing how to climb increased the chances of survival when encountering a desolate beast in the wild. Jiangshan looked at Xiang Beifei expectantly, asking, "Do you remember anything?" Xiang Beifei shook his head. Disappointment flickered in Jiangshan's eyes. "Monkey brother. It's Monkey brother." A boy of about 10 discovered Xiang Beifei and waved excitedly at him. Monkey brother, come over here. Teach us how to climb." Another little girl shouted happily. Monkey brother? Xiang Beifei touched his chin. The nickname was indeed peculiar. Jiangshan said, "Why don't you go have a look? You used to enjoy playing here. Maybe it will help you remember something." Xiang Beifei shook his head. Climbing was not suited for him. Not because he couldn't climb, but because it was too easy. He could climb without using hands or feet. But the group of children surrounded and clung to him, indicating that Jiang Ho previously got along well with the village children, and many of them were quite fond of him. "Monkey brother, please teach us." A little girl with her hair in a high bun pleaded naively, holding Xiang Beifei's hand. Xiang Beifei suddenly noticed a fine white mark on the girl's arm, resembling a crescent moon. This mark radiated a familiar aura, faintly revealing a hint of holy light. He looked up at the other children and found they all had one. Xiang Beifei slightly frowned. Jiangshan sternly said to the group of children, "Xiao Hozi was injured yesterday and hasn't fully recovered. He's not suitable for climbing right now. You'll be taught in a few days. Make sure to practice hard and no slacking." His words carried authority, as he was indeed a powerful figure in the tribe. The children shrank back, stuck out their tongues, and didn't dare persist further, reluctantly leaving. Jiangshan led Xiang Beifei forward, soon reaching a spacious terrain like a practice ground, with many young boys training in martial arts. They practiced simple punches, but each focused intently on hitting with force, their punches cutting through the air seriously. "This is our village's martial practice field," Boys age 10 and up train here in the Moon God Fist, Jiang Shan said. Moon God Fist. Xiang Beifei raised an eyebrow. Yes, it's said to be a martial art passed down by the great divine lord, granted to us for self-defense purposes. Everyone in the tribe knows this martial art. Even you have learned it. Jiang Shan hesitated here and said, You didn't like this martial art before, and I had to supervise your practice. You don't remember this. Xiang Beifei shook his head slightly. That's unacceptable. Everything else can be forgotten, but not this. The Moon God Fist is our sole reliance against desolate beasts. Jiang Shan said sternly. Xiang Beifei watched the youths practicing and noticed something unusual. Some faint white light would emanate from their bodies during the Moon God Fist practice, barely perceptible unless closely observed. The light flowed from their arms to their entire body before returning to their arms again. Their arms all bore a white crescent mark, about an inch long and very thin, similar to those of the younger children but more noticeable. Xiang Beifei looked at Jiang Shan's arm and noticed a white mark there as well. His mark, however, was almost circular rather than crescent-shaped. What's this? Xiang Beifei asked, pointing at the white mark. Jiang Shan glanced at the white mark on his arm and explained, This? It's the blessing of the Moon God. We are all servants of the Moon God. As a race at the lowest end of the food chain, and unable to cultivate, the Moon God bestowed us with the Moonprint, enabling us to cultivate and granting us the ability to resist desolate beasts. When he talked about the Moonprint, he was filled with admiration for the Divine Lord. After a while, he said, You have one on your arm too, but your Moonprint is still at the new moon stage, while mine is nearing full moon. Jiang Shan proudly showed Xiang Beifei his Moonprint. Xiang Beifei grasped Jiang Shan's arm. A surge of invisible power passed to Jiang Shan's Moonprint, and suddenly his expression froze, then his face darkened. This Moonprint is a very strange goo worm, parasitizing on people's arms in the shape of a moonprint, devouring the spiritual power each person cultivates. Jiang Shan, along with everyone in the Changpan tribe, had been indoctrinated by the Moon God since childhood with the idea that their human race could not cultivate, was the most lowly race, and that the ability to cultivate was a gift from the Moon God. But in fact, the human race is the most potent race, a powerful race that all others aspire to. Whether it's the Pierce Chest tribe, Jiaojing tribe, or those meat-winged monsters, their ultimate form of cultivation always aligns with that of the human race because the human race's form is the most suited for cultivation. The human race is born with their own Tao embryo and the ability to cultivate, not mere mortals, but favored children of the heavenly Tao, genuinely more powerful in cultivation than other E-tribes. Many races envy the human race because their ability to cultivate is fixed, while humans can cultivate various abilities. Yet these captive humans have no idea of their abilities. They don't understand what spiritual power signifies. They started cultivating the Moon God Fist from a young age, managing to cultivate a bit of spiritual power relying on a set of poor techniques. In reality, this spiritual power doesn't come from the Moonprint, but from within themselves. Once each person painstakingly cultivates a little spiritual power, the Moonprint goo worm on their arm devours the spiritual power within the human. This means whenever the captive humans cultivate, they're essentially helping those goo worms cultivate. Their results are consumed by the goo worms. And every time they go out hunting, if they want to deal with the desolate beast, the goo worm will only give out a bit of spiritual power to help them avoid danger, preventing humans from being devoured, which would leave the goo worm without a host. Such a sinister method. Xiang Beifei released Jiang Shan's arm and asked, What do full moon and new moon mean? Jiang Shan touched the moonprint on his injured arm and said, The moonprint represents our cultivation level. The stronger we cultivate, the more perfect the moonprint becomes. The newly given moonprint is called new moon. Our cultivation process is divided into new moon, crescent, half moon, waxing, full moon. You're currently a new moon. Just have a look. New moon is the lunar phase at the beginning or end of the month. Crescent is similar to a scythe. Half moon is a half moon. Waxing is the beginning of the gibbous phase, then comes full moon. This means the ultimate form of the goo worm is full moon. Xiang Beifei traced his arm, instantly disguising a fine crescent-like mark on his arm, then asked, What happens if you cultivate to full moon? The divine envoy said that our human race is the weakest. When we cultivate to the full moon level, it means reaching the human limit, and further cultivation would yield no more progress. We must go to the moon god palace. There, the divine envoy will use special methods to allow us to break through the human body's limits. Jiang Shan's expression was filled with longing. Clearly, the moon god palace is a very sacred place in the hearts of these people here. I've already cultivated to the near full moon level. If all goes well, in 2 months, the divine envoy will come and take me to the moon god palace. Jiang Shan said. Xiang Beifei became even angrier. Jiang Shan's current strength is roughly at the late meridian opening stage, and this is achieved without awakening his Dao embryo. The human limit has never been the late meridian opening stage, but a much higher realm. Yet the meat-winged monsters deceive the humans here with various lies, belittle their identity, and use their bodies to nurture goo worms. If I'm not wrong, those who cultivate to full moon, when they reach the moon god palace, it might just be the beginning of their nightmare. Yet people here remain unaware, still taking entrance to the moon god palace as their ultimate goal. Xiang Beifei said, "Have none of you considered what you'll become after cultivating in the moon god palace? After going there to cultivate, will they return?" Jiang Shan replied, "It's said that successful cultivation there is like a fish leaping over the dragon gate, growing wings, becoming part of the moon god tribe, and surpassing us servants beyond comparison. If they truly succeed in cultivation, why don't they come back to protect the human race? If they're so formidable, coming back to protect the tribe would free everyone from torment, wouldn't it?" Xiang Beifei wanted Jiang Shan to wake up. Yet Jiang Shan sternly said, "There's a distinction between the divine and the mortal. Once they become divine envoys, they're no longer part of the human race. Their future is radiant, carrying a mission with more important matters to complete. It's not their fault, it's our own weakness for being unable to keep up with them that is to be blamed." Xiang Beifei wanted to continue talking, but after pondering for a moment, decided not to. These thoughts are deeply ingrained in everyone's mind here. They've been indoctrinated to revere the meat-winged monsters from early on, and Xiang Beifei's unsupported words were incapable of changing anything. He needed to find his own way to approach it. Xiang Beifei watched the young men practicing their fists. These youths were supposed to be the future of the human race, each having their own potential, yet here they become hosts for the goo worms, and the fruits of their hard work are devoured by the goo worms, which infuriates him. "Woof woof," Xiaohe asked. "It's not impossible to get rid of them, but I need to study these goo worms carefully," Xiang Beifei said. "Simply killing these goo worms is too lenient. He needs to see if he can make them regurgitate the spiritual power they've devoured. You first watch them practicing fists, see if you recall anything. You practiced fists here back then too," Jiang Shan said. "All right." Xiang Beifei walked to a nearby tree. While pondering on how to handle the goo worm issue, he inadvertently kicked a stone that rolled aside. Looking down, he found it's a dark stone. Not paying attention, he lifted and righted the stone casually. Hiss! Suddenly, a gasp of astonishment came from behind. What happened? Xiang Beifei turned around, puzzled, looking at Jiang Shan, whose face was one of shock. "Xiao Hozi, did you just lift the martial stone?" Jiang Shan exclaimed. "Martial stone?" Xiang Beifei glanced down at the stone again, realizing it seemed special. The stone was shaped like an ancient square lock head, with a horizontal bar in the middle, specifically for lifting practice arm strength. "Should I not lift it?" Xiang Beifei asked. "It's a 200-pound martial stone." Jiang Shan looked at Xiang Beifei incredulously. "You used to complain about lifting 50 pounds, but now, how you?" Jiang Shan's breathing became rapid. How did his child suddenly seem like a different person? This. Xiang Beifei was somewhat embarrassed. Lifting a 200-pound martial stone seemed excessive. He was about to respect as a criterion to correct Jiang Shan's perception. But then more voices were heard behind. "Look! Xiao Hozi can actually lift a 200 martial stone. How did Xiao Hozi suddenly become so strong?" Could it be that after he was attacked and lost memory by the desolate beast yesterday, he's become stronger? Some boys who also saw Xiang Beifei lift the martial stone exclaimed. It prompted others to turn their heads. Soon, a middle-aged man supervising the young men practicing fist came over, looking astonished at Xiang Beifei. Xiao Hozi, what happened just now? I saw you lifted the 200-pound martial stone. Lao Lu, did I see it wrong? No, I saw it too. Jiang Shan said. Xiao Hozi, lift one more time, the middle-aged man said. More and more youths gathered around. It seemed everyone knew about him lifting 200 pounds now, all eager to see Xiang Beifei lift again. Xiang Beifei pondered a bit, realizing this was an opportunity. Most of the people here are troubled by the meat-winged monster and regard themselves as servants of the moon god. If Xiang Beifei wanted to correct their cognition, he would have to use respected as a criterion. But the problem is that the effect of respected as a criterion is limited. Changpan Valley is not like Juzhou. In Juzhou, people awaken their system Dao embryo, and Xiang Beifei only needs to manipulate their system Dao embryo, allowing the power of respected as a criterion to exist permanently. People here do not have Dao embryos, so respected as a criterion only works on people, and its effect will wear off after a while, at which point they will return to their original cognition. Rather than that, it is better to take this opportunity to gain more authority in the tribe, making it easier to act. At this moment, many young people practicing boxing surrounded him, looking at Xiang Beifei with a face full of amazement. Some did not see Xiang Beifei's actions just now and were not very convinced. Xiao Hozi can lift a 200-gene martial stone? Are you kidding me? Yeah. Doesn't Xiao Hozi usually hate practicing boxing? He always slacks off when it's time to train. It must be fake, right? Many boys whispered to each other, knowing Xiao Hozi's temperament. Usually, Xiao Hozi has a relatively good personality, gets along well with many peers, but simply doesn't like practicing boxing. Xiang Beifei heard the murmurs nearby but didn't mind. Instead, he looked down at the 200-gene martial stone, feeling somewhat helpless. A 200-gene martial stone. Nevertheless, he seriously extended his hand, moved his joints a little, clenched his fist, acting quite ordinary. Then he lifted the 200-gene martial stone with one hand and raised it above his head. Oh my God! He lifted it. With one hand too. And didn't seem to struggle either. The crowd of youths was utterly astonished. Being able to lift a martial stone and being able to raise it are two different concepts. Typically, Xiao Hozi couldn't even lift 50 gene. Yet now he could lift a 200-gene martial stone over his head. Jiang Shan was equally shocked. His own son. When did he become so strong? On the other side, the middle-aged man overseeing the younger generation's boxing practice was even more incredulous. This man named Jiang Daniu, second only to Jiang Shan in strength, usually carried a stick around the village searching for slackers like Xiao Hozi, forcing him to train. Now seeing Xiao Hozi suddenly lift a 200-gene martial stone, he was utterly stunned. Xiang Beifei placed the martial stone back down, and the 200-gene martial stone made a dull thud on the ground, snapping everyone out of their trance. What is going on? Jiang Shan asked incredulously, looking at Xiang Beifei. Xiang Beifei shook his head slightly and said, I don't know why. I suddenly got the strength. Come with me. Without another word, Jiang Shan pulled Xiang Beifei along as they ran. They headed towards where clan leader Jiang Feng lived, entering the courtyard to find Jiang Feng busy sharpening a pointed jade stone. The yard was filled with a pile of well-sharpened knives and spears, mostly of stone. This was a very special kind of black iron stone, very hard and not easily broken, but also very laborious to grind down. The tribe often needed to hunt and capture edible desolate beasts as food for the entire village, so hunting weapons had to be taken seriously. As the clan leader, Jiang Feng often personally prepared various hunting tools for the villagers, ensuring these tools wouldn't fail at critical moments. At this time, Jiang Feng was grinding a spear, using a whetstone to sharpen its blade, occasionally pouring water on it to make it extremely sharp. It was very strenuous work, and only those with enough strength could do it. Clan leader, something's wrong, something's wrong, something's wrong. Jiang Shan brought Xiang Beifei into the courtyard, repeating something's wrong 3 times. Jiang Feng stopped his work, lifting his head to look at Jiang Shan with confusion and asked, "What's wrong? Lao Lu, why so hurried?" Clan leader, look at Xiao Hozi first. Is Xiao Hozi feeling unwell? Jiang Feng quickly put down the spear, standing up, thinking that Xiao Hozi's injuries from yesterday had flared up. No, Xiao Hozi he just lifted a 200 gene martial stone. Jiang Shan said gravely, 200 gene? Are you sure? Jiang Feng frowned, not quite believing it. If a grown hunter in the village claimed to lift 200 gene, he would believe it, but not Xiao Hozi, who is the least fond of training, claiming he lifted 200 gene. He truly doubted it. Xiao Hozi, show him. Jiang Shan patted Xiang Beifei on the shoulder. Okay. Xiang Beifei saw another martial stone in the yard and walked over to it. Wait, that martial stone isn't 200 gene. It's 300. Before Jiang Shan finished speaking, Xiang Beifei already lifted the martial stone. Now, not only was Jiang Feng dumbfounded, but even Jiang Shan was stunned. Huh? This stone's weight isn't right. Only after lifting it did Xiang Beifei realize the stone actually weighed 300 gene. Although 300 gene was a mere trifle for him, it was a completely different situation for Jiang Feng and Jiang Shan. Both of them were absolutely shocked. That's 300 gene, Jiang Shan muttered to himself. Originally thinking it was unprecedented for Xiao Hozi to be able to lift a 200 gene martial stone. It was beyond imagination for Xiang Beifei to lift 300 gene. 300 gene. This is not a joke. It's known that to lift 300 gene, by the tribe's standards, one would at least have to train their moonprint to the crescent moon level. And Xiao Hozi's moonprint is just a small crescent moon. Yet he managed to lift 300 pounds? This completely defies common sense. Xiao Hozi, when did your strength become so powerful? Jiang Feng asked in shock. I don't know. Xiang Beifei shook his head. Jiang Shan and Jiang Feng exchanged a glance, suddenly placing their left hands on their chests, extending their right hands, looking at the crescent mark on their wrists, and spoke in unison. It must be the protection of the Divine Lord. Surviving a great disaster brings blessings. They both prayed devoutly to the moonprint on their arms, firmly believing that only the Divine Lord had given Xiao Hozi such strength. Xiao Hozi, you should thank the Divine Lord. This must be the help of the Divine Lord. Jiang Shan said solemnly. The Divine Lord hasn't protected me. It probably has nothing to do with the Divine Lord. Xiang Beifei said. Don't speak nonsense, Xiao Hozi. We, the human race, have always been under the protection of the Divine Lord. Jiang Shan immediately corrected. I'm telling the truth because there's no moonprint on my arm. Xiang Beifei initially thought of making a moonprint on his arm to cover it up, but by now he had removed the moonprint and conveniently made a wound. No moonprint. Jiang Shan and Jiang Feng were both astonished. In their minds, the moonprint represents the key to their tribe's survival. Everyone who can become a robust hunter and embark on the path of cultivation is granted by the moonprint. In Chongpan Valley, whenever a child turns 1 year old, a divine envoy is invited to bless every newborn with the moon god's blessing and imprint the moon god's mark. The human race can survive in this wilderness thanks to the moonprint. Without the moonprint, there is no human race. This is a deeply ingrained belief etched into their minds. Now Xiao Hozi claims he has no moonprint? This startled both Jiang Shan and Jiang Feng. Stretch out your arm, let me see. Jiang Shan said anxiously. Xiang Beifei extended his arm, and the wound on his arm was obvious. It lacked a piece of flesh as if clawed by a desolate beast, precisely where the moonprint should have been. My moonprint seems to have been clawed off by a desolate beast during yesterday's attack. Xiang Beifei said, touching the edge of the wound on his not yet fully healed arm. Clawed off. Jiang Feng was extremely amazed. When they were brought back yesterday, because Xiang Beifei was conscious and Jiang Shan was heavily injured, They only checked the wound on Xiang Beifei's head before treating Jiang Shan's injuries, without noticing the issue with Xiang Beifei's wrist. He hurriedly grabbed Xiang Beifei's hand, inspecting Xiang Beifei's wrist, and saw the moon print was gone, leaving only a shocking wound, his expression growing more anxious. Clawed off by a desolate beast? If the moon print was clawed off by a desolate beast, then, do you feel anything strange on your body? Jiang Feng, being the clan leader of Changpan Valley tribe, took this matter extremely seriously. If the moon print gets clawed off, the consequences are very serious. Xiang Beifei shook his head slightly, then said, "Not only is there nothing strange, but rather, I feel as if I've been freed from bondage, and suddenly my strength increased." "That's impossible," Jiang Shan firmly denied. "With the moon print, we have powerful strength." He still firmly believes that the moon god grants them the strength to contend with desolate beasts. Xiang Beifei said nothing more, just bent down and lifted the 300-pound martial stone again, tossing it as if playing. This. Jiang Shan was momentarily speechless by Xiang Beifei's actions. He knew his son's previous situation. He was just a skinny little guy. Besides climbing agility, he basically didn't want to practice martial arts, nor did he like cultivation. Yet, after yesterday's perilous encounter, losing the moon print, he inexplicably gained extraordinary strength. And this was what Xiao Hozi achieved without the moon print. "Clan leader, I remember there wasn't such a situation before," Jiang Shan said. "Indeed not previously when they were hunting. If their arms were broken by desolate beasts, they would almost immediately perish. How did Xiao Hozi survive?" Jiang Feng was utterly puzzled. Immediate death without the moon print? Why? Xiang Beifei was quite astonished. The divine envoy said, "We, the human race, are very humble and fragile. Compared with ordinary desolate beasts, our physical lifespan limit is only about 20 years. That is to say, we, humans, are old at 20, but it is precisely the existence of the moon print that extends our lifespan 4 or 5 times. So once we lose the moon print, our physical lifespan returns to the original state, equivalent to an old man, unable to bear it." Jiang Feng explained. "A physical lifespan limit of 20 years? Xiang Beifei scoffed inwardly. Humans can live far longer than Jiang Feng and the others imagine with Dao Embryo's enhancement. As long as the cultivation level is high enough, living for hundreds of years is no problem. Unfortunately, Jiang Feng and the others aren't aware of this. The meat-winged monsters instill concepts in them, and they believe deeply. Even if they doubt, it's useless because the ones being raised have been marked with the meat-winged monster's insect imprint since childhood, growing up with these imprints. However, losing the moon print and dying was unexpected for Xiang Beifei. Could it be the moon prints are connected in some way? In that regard, Xiang Beifei indeed noticed something amiss. To ensure completely posing as Jiang Ho at the time, he restored Jiang Ho's corpse, disguising all of Jiang Ho's body including birthmarks. But he didn't see the moon print on Jiang Ho's arm. Could it be the meat-winged monster's insect moon print automatically sheds and escapes after death? Jiang Shan and Jiang Feng scrutinized Xiang Beifei from head to toe, for a moment even suspecting the young man in front of them wasn't Xiao Hozi. But Xiao Hozi's back birthmark was identical, leaving Jiang Shan no room for doubt. Ordinary people losing the moon print would instantly die, but Xiao Hozi losing the moon print and suddenly becoming incredibly strong. Why is this? The two were endlessly puzzled. Losing the moon print made Xiao Hozi stronger than before. Could it be the moon print is truly a binding force on them? Jiang Feng no longer dared to be sure. Xiang Beifei knew transforming these people's thoughts would need to be gradual, not a one-step process. Moreover, this is the meat-winged monster's territory. He must proceed cautiously. Now he set an example. Next, he will slowly seek opportunities to demonstrate more, reveal some abilities, allowing them to first waver in the belief that moonprint is everything. His goal is to let these people recognize the human race is not the servants of the meat-winged monsters, but a more powerful existence than the meat-winged monsters. Of course, he plans to directly confront the yellow dragon this time, to stir trouble in the meat-winged monster's lair. So he isn't hurried, just waiting here for the meat-winged monsters to arrive. Jiang Feng knew the matter concerning Xiao Hozi was extremely significant. He immediately convened many clan elders from the tribe to deliberate on this matter. There were quite a few elderly people in the tribe, and on their wrists there was a moon print. Not all old people could cultivate the moon print to a full moon state. It also relates to talent, but they've lived with the moon print all their lives, regarding the moon print as a profoundly sacred existence in their minds. Jiang Feng shared the story of Xiao Hozi losing the moon print yet becoming strong with these clan elders, immediately causing quite a commotion. Some clan elders publicly questioned, "It's impossible. Without the moon print there can't be us, the human race. Xiao Hozi is only 16. Living without the moon print is quite normal. But how could he possibly become strong without the moon print?" Xiang Beifei casually carried the stone weight around in a circle. Everyone present was so shocked they couldn't speak. Jiang Feng had Xiang Beifei wait outside, while a group of people started discussions inside the house. Even though Xiang Beifei was sitting in the yard, he could clearly hear everything being said inside. The moon print is the foundation of our human race's survival. Losing the moon print is a desecration of the Divine Lord. Xiao Hozi must have come into contact with something unclean. That's right. We are all servants of the Divine Lord. Jiang Ho losing the moon print was a major taboo. It is seen as betrayal to the Divine Lord. This cannot be tolerated. Some clan elders' attitudes were extremely stubborn. Their belief in the moon god is so devout that they couldn't accept Jiang Ho becoming stronger after losing the moon print. Changing these people's beliefs really is a tough mission. Xiang Beifei sighed slightly. The tribe elders in the house continued their debate about Xiao Hozi becoming more formidable despite lacking a moon print. Most of the elders have worshipped the moon god their entire lives and find it difficult to change their beliefs. We must report to the Divine Lord. Without the moon print, he is no longer pure. Without the moon print, Xiao Hozi has lost the Divine Lord's protection, possibly bringing misfortune to our tribe. What do you all think? Right? The Divine Lord said that the Yellow Spring demons were once tribes who didn't worship the moon god. Losing their humanity as their rationality was gradually overtaken by their ferocious nature, turning them into what they are. Are you suggesting that Xiao Hozi might also become a Yellow Spring demon in the future? No way. Xiao Hozi must leave. Bam! The voices of the elders were suddenly interrupted as Jiang Shan angrily slapped the table, possibly breaking it. Xiao Hozi is my son. He is no jinx. Anyone who dares to touch him, try me. Jiang Shan's voice was filled with anger. He would never allow his son, who narrowly escaped death, to be driven out as a jinx by this group of elders. Jiang Shan, you must understand. We are all the Divine Lord's people. Xiao Hozi has lost the moon print, and he no longer enjoys the Divine Lord's protection. He is an extremely dangerous person, shouted one elder. Nonsense. Xiao Hozi is just a child. Have you ever considered what awaits him outside the village? Desolate beasts roam everywhere. How dare you say such things? Jiang Shan erupted in fury. If he falls and becomes a Yellow Spring demon in the future, it will bring disaster to this tribe. We are considering the tribe's interests. Look, he now possesses the power of a Yellow Spring demon, barked another elder. Exactly, clan leader. You are now the strongest in our tribe and the most understanding of reason. You have to judge fairly. Many elders hoped Jiang Feng would handle the situation regarding Xiao Hozi. Jiang Feng pondered for a moment and said, "It's too early to say that Xiao Hozi will fall and become a Yellow Spring demon. Xiao Hozi has only lost his memory, and he is still just a child. He's already 16. The Divine Lord mentioned that humans without moonprints have short lifespans. 20 years is considered old age, so he isn't a child anymore. Yellow Spring demons lose their rationality step by step. Xiao Hozi's memory loss is just the beginning. Clan leader, if you don't act now, the whole tribe will suffer. Jiang Shan, don't be so stubborn. If you truly care for the tribe, you should nip this danger in the bud. I still remember what happened when Xiao Hozi was born. Now that I think about it, perhaps the Yellow Spring demon attack back then was because of Xiao Hozi. Get out. Xiao Hozi is a normal child. You stubborn old things. I'll make my stand here today. Anyone who dares to harm Xiao Hozi will have to step over my dead body first. Jiang Shan was furious, unwilling to argue with the elders any longer. He forcefully swung the door open, walked out of the room, grabbed Xiang Beifei, and whispered, "Let's go. Home." His demeanor was resolute, willing to oppose all the tribe elders to protect his son. Xiang Beifei watched Jiang Shan's back and suddenly felt a bit hesitant. This was a very responsible father, able to turn against the village elders to protect his son decisively. However, the real Jiang Ho was already dead, and Xiang Beifei was merely pretending temporarily. He would surely leave one day, and how would Jiang Shan face his son's death then? Xiang Beifei already regretted pretending to be Jiang Ho, as the truth was cruel to Jiang Shan. Jiang Shan didn't know what Xiang Beifei was thinking. He hurriedly brought Xiang Beifei home and then said, "From now on, you can no longer go out, nor wander in the village. You must stay within my sight." Xiang Beifei said, "If they come for me, you won't be able to stop them. I will stop them even if I can't. I promised your mother I would protect you, and I won't break my promise," Jiang Shan said through gritted teeth. Xiang Beifei was silent for a moment and asked, "Where is she? Why do those elders say my birth is related to the Yellow Spring Demon?" Jiang Shan looked at Xiang Beifei as if he remembered something and sighed heavily. "When she gave birth to you, the Yellow Spring Demons attacked the tribe. She protected you, hiding you under the bed. But she was... At that time, I was out hunting, and by the time I rushed back, it was too late." Jiang Shan's eyes slightly reddened as he spoke. The scene from back then appeared vividly in his mind. His wife protecting their son, only to be dragged away by the Yellow Spring Demon while he, as her husband, was powerless and could only watch as the demon devoured his wife. That scene was one he could never forget. The Yellow Spring Demon, like a nightmare, loomed over everyone's hearts. They think the Yellow Spring Demon back then was brought by you, but I know clearly it has nothing to do with you. You are just my son, not a Yellow Spring Demon, and I will never let anything happen to you. Jiang Shan clenched his fist. They had already taken his wife. He would never allow the Yellow Spring Demons to take his son. Xiang Beifei sat silently on the stone bench in the yard, saying nothing. Seeing Xiang Beifei's silence, Jiang Shan thought he was afraid, so he said, "Don't worry. No need to feel burdened. Rest assured, if the sky falls, I'll hold it up for you." "Okay." Xiang Beifei smiled. According to Jiang Shan, every year the moon god race sends a divine envoy to bless newborn babies, which means marking them with the moon print. At the same time, they also take away humans who have cultivated their moon print to the full moon stage, bringing them to the moon god palace for further cultivation. The next divine envoy visit is in 2 months. Xiang Beifei stayed quietly in the tribe, cultivating and contemplating his strategy. The Eternal Night Demon King of the Meat-Winged Monster is an immortal master, far superior to Xiang Beifei. Xiang Beifei cannot act impulsively. He needs to rely on some special methods. For example, first figuring out the source of Yellow Spring and its weaknesses. Even the Eternal Night Demon King has sacrificed himself to the meat-winged monster of Yellow Spring. The Yellow Spring is the key. Additionally, the matter of the moonprint goo worm needs to be clarified. Late at night, loud snoring resonated in the simple house. Their houses were built of stone, with roofs covered in various thatches and animal hides for wind and rain protection. Inside, yellow cloths were used to divide it into 2 rooms, where Xiang Beifei and Jiang Shan each stayed in one. However, the rooms were not soundproof, so the entire house was filled with Jiang Shan's snoring. Xiang Beifei didn't mind. Such snoring was a minor issue compared to Era, who often mumbles in his sleep. Seeing Jiang Shan asleep, he carefully walked over. They mentioned that losing the moonprint results in death, so Xiang Beifei had to thoroughly understand the capabilities of the moonprint. Xiang Beifei used his spiritual power to protect Jiang Shan's whole body meridians and transferred his perception so that Jiang Shan would not wake up. He extended 2 fingers, and a sharp strand of spiritual power flickered at his fingertips, like a precise scalpel, carefully slicing the muscle around the moonprint. Every drop of blood was swiftly blocked by Xiang Beifei's spiritual power, preventing it from spilling. Soon, he discovered a dense cluster of tendrils beneath the moonprint, connecting to Jiang Shan's subcutaneous meridians, including the qi channels. Jiang Shan was also a martial artist who had already undergone meridian opening. Although the qi channels developed throughout his body were not many, he quickly noticed something strange about them. Xiang Beifei realized something, and his eyes flickered with a black and white glimmer. In his perception, these qi channels and meridians no longer belonged to Jiang Shan but rather to the moonprint gu worm, as if they were assimilated by the gu worm. Xiang Beifei stared at the moonprint gu worm, pondered for a moment, and used his spiritual power to pressure the moonprint gu worm. But, just when his spiritual power was strong enough to threaten it, the gu worm suddenly started contracting urgently. At that moment, Jiang Shan's qi channels were also yanked, as if they were being ripped from his meridians, and Jiang Shan's body began to convulse uncontrollably, curling up. Xiang Beifei quickly withdrew his spiritual power, and the moonprint gu worm, losing the threat, stopped trembling, and Jiang Shan's body returned to normal. No wonder. Xiang Beifei finally understood why losing the moonprint led to death. It was because the moonprint essentially took over a person's meridians and qi channels. In other words, if the moonprint gu worm senses a threat to its host, it will promptly leave the body, essentially stripping away the person's meridians and qi channels. Once the meridians are gone, the person would collapse and die instantly. It's no wonder that outside, when a hunter's arm with the moonprint is cut off, they perish. That's the explanation. Such a vicious thing. Xiang Beifei hadn't expected the meat-winged monster to use human bodies to nurture gu. Wait a minute. It seems it's not just that. Xiang Beifei carefully observed the gu worm again, slightly furrowing his brows. The gu worm seemed to have fused with the human soul. In the God refining period, the meridians are refined into the divine soul. But before that, the human soul is attached to the meridians, meaning that if the gu worm is threatened and withdraws the meridians and qi channels, it also takes away the human soul. What is the meat-winged monster collecting human souls for? Is it for the Dao embryo? Do they think the Dao embryo is in the soul? Xiang Beifei pondered. The meat-winged monster and the ghost mustache of remnant visage had once teamed up to ambush the human race in order to plunder their Dao embryo. Over 3,000 years had passed, and it was evident that the ghost mustache of remnant visage had figured out how to steal the Dao embryo. However, the meat-winged monster seemed oblivious, something apparent from the behavior of the flaming six wings. Regardless, Xiang Beifei needed to deal with the trouble caused by the gu worm. Directly removing the gu worm would cost Jiang Shan his life, so he had to think of another way. After thinking for a long time, Xiang Beifei suddenly thought of return to the original state. Since the moonprint gu worm was gradually assimilating the body's meridians, why not make it revert back? He immediately pressed on the moonprint gu worm and channeled the aura of return to the original state onto it. The moonprint gu worm wanted to resist, but in front of Xiang Beifei, a tiny, insignificant worm couldn't turn the tables. Soon, the moonprint gu worm was enveloped by return to the original state. Guided by Xiang Beifei, the meridians and energy channels assimilated by the moonprint gu worm started to revert, and the spiritual power extracted from Jiang Shan was forced back, beginning to flow back into Jiang Shan's body through the energy channels. Pop! The shape of the moonprint gu worm changed from a full moon back to a crescent, looking shrunken, and the connecting meridians were severed. Now there shouldn't be any problem. Xiang Beifei withdrew his aura. However, after some contemplation, he inscribed a formation around the gu worm. The formation concealed the moonprint gu worm, restoring it to its full moon shape. Neither Jiang Shan nor anyone in the tribe could detect this change. Not even the meat-winged monster could manage that. He did this because if others discovered Jiang Shan's moonprint had shrunk, the elders might use it to stir trouble, blaming Xiao Hozi, making things even more of a hassle. Hence, even though it was restored, it still needed to be disguised. After finishing everything, Xiang Beifei healed the wound and then returned to his room. The next day, Jiang Shan woke up early. He specifically went to Xiang Beifei's room to check on him. Seeing Xiang Beifei still peacefully lying in bed, he finally breathed a sigh of relief. Strange. My whole body feels a lot more comfortable. He stretched lazily, feeling as if his body had transformed, like a heavy burden had been lifted, as if the weight pressing on his chest was gone. This feeling was quite marvelous. He had never felt so relaxed in his life. Did something go wrong? Jiang Shan didn't quite understand. Could it be because his wound just healed? Or maybe my son's miraculous survival brought me good fortune too? Jiang Shan thought about his amnesiac son returning alive, and it gave him peace of mind. Although his son remembered nothing, being alive was a blessing. Not dwelling on it further, he turned to make breakfast. Breakfast was simple, a very peculiar vegetable soup paired with dried cured meat. The cured meat was made from the desolate beasts hunted usually, dried to the extent that he couldn't even tell what meat it was, only that it was tough to chew. The vegetable soup exuded a strange odor, as though it had been left for days with a sourish smell. Eat quickly, just cooked, Jiang Shan said with a smile. While Jiang Shan wasn't looking, Era snuck a taste and immediately spat it out, rolling his eyes. This wasn't something humans should eat. It was too atrocious. But the people in the tribe seemed used to it. Trapped here with limited resources, they couldn't acquire much food. Eating anything fine was impossible. They were accustomed to the unpleasant wild vegetables, so it didn't matter much. Eat more. You were injured. Need to replenish. Jiang Shan kept giving Xiang Beifei slices of cured meat and filled his bowl with wild vegetable soup. Looking at the dark, oddly smelling wild vegetable soup, Era and Xiaohei snickered gleefully. Xiang Beifei helplessly rubbed his forehead. He originally wanted to evaporate these things, but Jiang Shan was watching him with concern. He had no choice but to shut off his taste buds and gulp it down. Seeing Xiang Beifei drink the soup, Jiang Shan then said, "Right, today stay at home. Don't go out. Rest well. I need to participate in the Mengdong hunt." What is the Mengdong hunt? In the next 2 months, the temperature will change, and the nearby edible desolate beasts will migrate. So every year at this time, the tribe must conduct a large-scale hunt to store enough food. Otherwise, we won't have anything to eat in the coming months, Jiang Shan explained. Let me come too, Xiang Beifei said. No, you just got injured, you can't go. Jiang Shan shook his head. Have you thought about it? If you leave, the tribal elders staying in the village will come to trouble me, Xiang Beifei asked. In truth, Xiang Beifei wasn't afraid of trouble. This group of people who didn't know their limits wouldn't really cause him any problems. If they dared to come, he'd just slap them away. He simply wanted to follow these people out, see how they lived, and learn a bit more about things. Jiang Shan was taken aback, put down his chopsticks, his expression somewhat gloomy. Those stubborn tribal elders currently considered Xiang Beifei a potential underworld spirit, and it was very likely they would take the opportunity when Jiang Shan was away to find Xiao Houzi and drive him out. Jiang Shan was also weighing this matter, and after a while he said, "But hunting is very dangerous, and you just had an incident the day before yesterday. Last time you weren't there. This time I'll be following you," Xiang Beifei said. Jiang Shan hesitated for a long time. Leaving Xiao Houzi in the village didn't seem safer than taking him along. Because if those tribal elders wanted to take the chance to drive Xiao Houzi out when he wasn't around, then Xiao Houzi would have to face the desolate beasts outside the village alone. If something happened, he couldn't rescue him at all. It would be better to take him along for hunting so he could keep an eye on him. Considering this, Jiang Shan finally agreed, but reminded him, "All right, but this time you have to stick close to me." Learning to hunt was a skill every man in the tribe needed to master. Jiang Shan also knew that Xiao Houzi needed to learn these skills, and perhaps it could help Xiao Houzi remember something. "Okay," Xiang Beifei said. "Then eat some more, you'll need the energy for the journey." Jiang Shan poured Xiang Beifei another bowl of murky, foul-smelling wild vegetable soup, full of care. Xiang Beifei. After Xiang Beifei ate 3 big bowls with tears in his eyes, Jiang Shan went to prepare the hunting tools. The hunting tools here were quite unique. Because of limited resources, they used local materials. For example, spears were made from the leg bones of the black feather red cloud tiger. This desolate beast's legs were very long, and the leg bones were very hard. Sharpening them could deal with common desolate beasts. Be careful. Don't touch the arrow tips. They're poisonous. If you accidentally cut yourself, you'll sleep for days. Jiang Shan handed a tiger skin quiver to Xiang Beifei. Inside the quiver was a pile of arrows covered in thick grass. The arrows were made from the sharp spines of porcupine apes. When porcupine apes attacked people, they would shoot various spines. These spines were very thick and had strong anesthetic properties, which the tribe collected for reuse. Xiang Beifei slung the quiver over his back and picked up a bow, which was also interesting. The bow was made of an elastic bone, like the rib of some large desolate beast. The bowstring was likely made from the nerves of a desolate beast, very tough. Jiang Shan also tied a water flask and some food around his waist. After fully arming himself, he handed a sharp bone blade and a small axe to Xiang Beifei. Xiang Beifei deftly donned these items, though they were of no use to him. This is a map of the area around the village. If you get separated again, be sure to wait for rescue at the hunting cave. Jiang Shan, not completely reassured, handed a piece of wild ox hide to Xiang Beifei. On the back of this wild ox hide were some simple illustrations, the general outline of the tribe, the main areas where desolate beasts were near the tribe, and the location of the hunting cave were all recorded. The lines were made with very rough paint from desolate beast blood, though the writing resembled that of the Jojo script. This primitive map made Xiang Beifei's eyes light up. He knew it would definitely be useful in the future. All right, water flask, bow and arrows, food, bait, we've got it all. Let's go. Jiang Shan checked Xiang Beifei one more time, and after confirming everything was in order, they set off. Once Xiang Beifei went outside, he suddenly realized that he was currently in an unwelcome situation. He originally thought that revealing his lack of the moon print might slightly shake the tribe's opinion, but he had still underestimated the mindset of the human race here. Their worship of the moon god was ingrained in their bones, especially those tribal elders who firmly believed they lived to this age under the moon god's protection. As for Xiao Hozi, who grew stronger without the moon print, they directly regarded him as a scourge. Because of Jiang Shan's deterrence, the tribal elders didn't dare to fall out with him, but they warned their juniors not to associate with Xiao Hozi. It seemed like overnight most people knew about Xiao Hozi's lack of the moon print. Many looked at Xiang Beifei with strange gazes, as if he were a prospective underworld spirit not yet driven mad, something that must be swiftly eliminated. It's Xiao Hozi. Xiao Hozi's coming. Quick! Retreat! Grandma said we can't play with Xiao Hozi. A boy around Xiao Hozi's age saw Xiang Beifei and backed away in terror, tripping over a stone and falling, but still scrambling to crawl away. I heard he doesn't have the Divine Lord's blessing anymore. If we're with him, we might get dragged down. Yeah, my dad says the underworld spirits don't have the Divine Lord's blessing. That's why they fell. Xiao Hozi lost his memory and his moon print. It's a precursor to becoming an underworld spirit. Not just him, several other boys quickly hid behind houses. Every time Xiang Beifei passed a household, the occupants looked at him with hostility, keeping a watchful eye on their children. Yesterday, the little girl with the topknot was playing at the door. When she saw Xiang Beifei, she excitedly waved, "Monkey brother, morning." But she hadn't finished shouting when the woman next to her, who was washing clothes, hurriedly ran over, covered the little girl's mouth, glanced at Xiang Beifei in panic, and then hugged the little girl back inside, fearing contamination with bad luck. Xiao Hozi had become a catastrophe that everyone avoided. Awoo! Awoo! Era couldn't stand it anymore and asked if we should catch this bunch and give them a good beating. What was the point of saving such human race? Xiang Beifei shook his head slightly, not caring. This wasn't the tribe's fault. These people grew up with the idea that the moon god was supreme, and they didn't even know they were livestock being raised by meat-winged monsters for slaughter. They were unaware of how the outside world was. The meat-winged monsters deceived them with methods, meanwhile suppressing their development with desolate beasts, leaving their thoughts in an age of ignorance. The more ignorant, the easier to control. Simply put, the people here are uncivilized, no different from primitives. No matter how the tribe thinks, he won't bother with them. But he will bother with the meat-winged monsters. Jiang Shan's face was also ugly, but he still led Xiang Beifei to the training ground, where a bunch of strong men were already gathered preparing to go hunting, the youngest of whom was 16 or 17. The Mengdong hunt was the largest hunting event. Each household in the tribe had to send at least one strong man to participate in the hunt, with no less than 400 or 500 people present, some still unarrived. When Xiang Beifei came over, hundreds of strong men's eyes fell on him. Why did this catastrophe come too? Many strong men frowned. Zhang Laolu, why did you bring Xiao Hozi? An old man with a tiger's back and bare waist and graying hair asked. This strong man named Zhang Dai was an experienced hunter in the tribe, who usually served as a team captain when hunting. He was also one of those summoned by Zhang Feng for a meeting yesterday. Xiao Hozi is hunting with me, Jiang Shan said solemnly. Absurd. I heard he lost the moon print. Without the moon god's protection, joining any team would bring disaster to that team. Which team do you think would want him? Zhang Dai asked. Tribal hunting required cooperation because the strength of desolate beasts far surpassed theirs. An individual couldn't handle them, so the teams consisted of dozens. Currently, Xiang Beifei was a catastrophe, and the people here were superstitious. Surely they would reject him. Jiang Shan shouted, Xiao Hozi is normal. He won't bring disaster to the team. He doesn't have the moon print. He's lost his memory. He's abandoned by the moon god. He desecrates the divine lord. Another young strong man shouted. Nonsense. That's just what you think. Xiao Hozi is my son. He hasn't desecrated the divine lord. Jiang Shan retorted. Stop arguing. At this moment, the clan leader Jiang Feng also arrived. He glanced at Xiang Beifei, sweeping over the others, and asked Jiang Shan, Lao Lu, do you want to take Xiao Hozi? Jiang Shan looked at a group of hostile, glaring tribe elders in the distance, firmly. Yes, I'm planning to take him hunting, hoping he can recall some things. Jiang Feng actually understood what Jiang Shan was worrying about, but he didn't point it out. Instead, he asked Xiang Beifei, Xiao Hozi, you were injured just the day before yesterday. Are you sure you want to go? I'm fine now, without the moon print. My healing ability seems to have improved. Xiang Beifei showed the wounds on his body that he opened the day before. Jiang Feng looked carefully and found it was indeed the case. The cut on Xiang Beifei's arm had already scabbed over, some parts even fallen off, surprising him. You recover so quickly and yet say you're not a Yellow Spring Spectre? Zhang Dai said. Jiang Feng stopped him. Dai, say less. There's no evidence directly linking Xiao Hozi to the Yellow Spring Spectres. Zhang Dai snorted, saying, Clan leader, you may speak for Xiao Hozi now, but ask yourself, if he wants to go, who agrees to team up with him? The other hunters exchanged looks, their gazes peculiar, obviously very worried about Xiao Hozi losing the moon print. Hunters formed groups for hunting, usually led by the experienced, then scattered to search for target prey. Sometimes they needed to split up to surround the prey, cooperating on activities. Jiang Shan's strength wasn't weak. Originally, he was also a team captain in the tribe, leading more than 30 people. But now his team seemed to have issues, a few hunters hesitant about following him again. Jiang Shan's face was somewhat bleak. I trust Xiao Hozi. At this moment, a middle-aged man covered in leopard skin walked over, laughing heartily. Xiao Hozi is no Yellow Spring Spectre. I'm not afraid of any bad luck. Brother Lu, don't worry. I'm with you. Good. Jiang Shan nodded slightly, feeling grateful. Don't worry, Xiao Hozi. I've got you covered. The middle-aged man patted Xiang Beifei's shoulder. Thank you. Xiang Beifei smiled. What thanks? I watched you grow up, I know your weight. Do you still recognize me? I'm your Uncle Seven, the middle-aged man said with a chuckle. Hello, Uncle Seven, Xiang Beifei said. Good, certainly good. Don't worry. This time follow Uncle Seven. Uncle Seven guarantees your safety. This middle-aged man was Jiang Shan's younger brother named Jiang Chuan. Usually a generous person, very loyal. When Jiang Chuan stepped forward, some hunters also came over. They usually followed Jiang Shan, comparatively still trusting Jiang Shan to lead. Jiang Dai said nothing more, merely sneered watching Jiang Shan's team. Soon all hunters gathered, this being a large-scale hunt, necessary to hunt enough desolate beasts for food storage for the next 2 to 3 months. Around 1,000 people, of course, orphans without able-bodied youth weren't sent. There were quite a few in the tribe without male members, some deceased during hunting, some disabled unavailable for future hunts, only able to serve as logistical support. Others who cultivated the moonprint to the crescent moon were headed to Moon God Palace. According to the tribe's saying, they undertook a nobler mission. Jiang Feng first let these tribal hunters form teams, each team with an uncertain number of people, deciding on their target desolate beasts to hunt and choose hunters. More people aren't necessarily better, usually 40 to 50 is adequate for powerful desolate beast sieges. Too many expose them, too few can't win. Jiang Shan's team always lacked people. Because of Xiao Hozi, only gathering 21 hunters. They were mostly close to Jiang Shan and had watched Xiao Hozi grow up. They seemed very enthusiastic, conversing with Xiao Hozi, attempting to help Xiao Hozi recall some things. Before departing, clan leader Jiang Feng solemnly led all the hunters to piously kneel towards the 12-winged meat-winged monster statue on the mountain, praying for the Mengdong hunt's safety. Jiang Shan tried pulling Xiang Beifei to kneel, but Xiang Beifei didn't kneel. He stood behind everyone, coldly watching the statue. After a sending-off ceremony, each hunter team leader led their hunters departing from different places. They had hunting experience, having identified their targets and knew what kind of desolate beasts they were hunting. Jiang Shan and his group also headed south, bypassing hills, stopping near a nearby hunting cavern. Our team is smaller, so we need to hunt those relatively weak. Temporary targets set as bone-winged horse. Further threat should be assessed. Stay alert. The Mengdong season is when Yellow Spring specters emerge. Cooperate and retreat immediately upon encountering Yellow Spring specters. Jiang Shan said sternly. Yellow Spring's specter emerges now? Xiang Beifei asked in surprise. Yes, these desolate beasts migrate because Yellow Spring specters awaken in this season. They don't wish to wait for death, so they flee. We're essentially competing with Yellow Spring specters for food. There's nothing to do about it. If we don't hunt, we'll face hunger for months ahead. Best pray not encountering Yellow Spring specters. Jiang Shan explained. Xiang Beifei furrowed his brows deeply. He knew the so-called Yellow Spring specters, meat-winged monsters, didn't need food. Yet they chose this season to emerge annually. So was this Mengdong hunt truly humans hunting desolate beasts? Or was it meat-winged monsters hunting humans? Xiang Beifei vaguely understood that this Mengdong hunt seemed to be a conspiracy. It's obvious the meat-winged monster deliberately wanted the humans of Changpan Valley to come out for the hunt. Then they strike again, hunting humans. Yet, he couldn't quite grasp the reason behind the meat-winged monster's actions. Because if the meat-winged monster wanted to slaughter the humans here, it would be quite simple. The humans being kept in Changpan Valley simply cannot resist. They could rush in and capture a large number of humans easily. But instead, they didn't do so. Rather, they went to great lengths to scare away the desolate beasts, forcing the human race to leave Changpan Valley for food, and then attack them. Why does the meat-winged monster have to go through such trouble? Every year during the Mengdong hunt, are there many hunters who lose their lives? Xiang Beifei asked. It's not that bad. Most who die are victims of the netherworld evil spirits. It's something unavoidable. Don't worry too much. With our divine Lord protecting us, we can certainly avoid the netherworld evil spirits. Jiang Shan said. Divine Lord? Xiang Beifei pressed his lips tight. These people had no idea that the so-called Divine Lord was essentially the netherworld evil spirit itself. Era Xiaohei, go and check the surroundings. Remember, if you encounter the meat-winged monster, avoid engaging. Protect humans first. Xiang Beifei whispered silently. Aowa! Woof woof! Xiaohei and Era quickly left, with Yumong trotting behind Era, eager to try its abilities. Follow Xiaohei. Xiang Beifei still chose to let Xiaohe take Yumong, as Xiaohe was more reliable compared to Era, and if Era ran into the trees alone without taking Yumong, it would be a problem. To be safe, he even gave some bricks to Xiaohe. Beside the hunter's den in the forest, the group of hunters was already preparing for the hunt. Here, use this grass for camouflage. Odorless grass. It can mask the scent on us. Jiang Shan handed some green grass to Xiang Beifei. The others had already started to weave the grass into rings, wearing them around their heads, waists, and legs for simple camouflage. Many desolate beasts have sharp senses of smell. Odorless grass can shield the scent of humans, making it harder for desolate beasts to discover us. Xiang Beifei also imitated their actions, although there was no necessity, but when in Rome, make himself look decent. Jiang Shan wasn't assured, so he wrapped a bit more for him. Everyone had a piece of lush green grassland on their heads. Shan Zhu, take 4 people to encircle from the left. Lao Qi, you take 4 on the right. Jiang Song, take 4 to cut off retreat. Use the firefox's blood to chase them. We intercept from the front. Jiang Shan instructed. Jiang Shan began assigning personnel, devising a strategy for the hunt of the bone-winged horse. The bone-winged horse is relatively weak, roughly in chi-controlling later stage. But in truth, weak is relative. For Xiang Beifei they are nothing, but for these humans they are still a significant threat. The team totaled 21 people, divided into 4 groups, 5 in each. Jiang Shan's side had 6. In truth, they all knew Jiang Shan with 6 or 5 made no difference. In their eyes, Xiang Beifei was just making up numbers, could be ignored. Remember, be careful. We're fewer, so we'll suffer the most. Nobody can afford to be slack. Jiang Shan reminded again. Understood. Everyone scattered, sneaking into the woods in groups of 3 or 5. Xiao Hozi, why don't you wait at this hunter's den for us? Your strength is too weak. I'm worried if something happens, you won't be attended to. Jiang Shan looked at Xiang Beifei. No need. A man should learn how to hunt. Xiang Beifei replied. Jiang Shan was slightly stunned. Xiao Hozi's words surprised him. Previously Xiao Hozi never liked hunting, but today spoke such words, making him deeply touched. Good, now that's my son. Jiang Shan said with satisfaction, patting Xiang Beifei's shoulder. The group started exploring forward. The forest was dense, overgrown with weeds, many small insect-like desolate beasts. After a couple of steps, a purple snake suddenly shot out towards them. Jiang Shan quickly drew his axe and chopped it in half. It's a purple snake. The venom can be used as a weapon. Jiang Shan twisted open the snake's jaw with a stick, pierced the venom sac with a sharp bamboo skewer, collected the venom in a small wooden tube, and continued onward. A few horse neighs came ahead. Jiang Shan signaled everyone to slow down, began to bend over, and slowly squeezed through the branches, making as little noise as possible. Every hunter moved quietly, stealthily approaching the source of the neighs. Through the leaves, Xiang Beifei saw on tall branches climbed over by dozens of bone-winged horses. Another dozen were on the ground. Each bone-winged horse stood 3 to 4 meters tall. Pure white, very large, they well-fed, with 2 rows of sharp bone spikes on their backs, curving like bone-formed wings. The bone-winged horses can't fly, they only use these wing-like bones to climb trees or cliffs nimbly, likened to spider-like legs. These bone-winged horses formed a herd, closely counted to 29, outnumbering them. The leading large bone-winged horse had meridian opening stage strength. Unlike other white bone-winged horses, this one was entirely red-haired, very majestic, presumably the leader of these bone-winged horses, highly powerful. Most of the other bone-winged horses had the strength of the chi-controlling stage, and the young bone-winged horses were protected in the middle, chewing on a piece of black panther meat. This black panther looked quite pitiful, with several bloody holes pierced through its body by bones, and its head completely smashed. Troublesome. There are too many of these bone-winged horses. Jiang Shan's face was extremely grave. Even for him, dealing with the leader of these bone-winged horses alone was difficult, not to mention the other hunters. The combat power of this group of bone-winged horses was terrifying. Be careful, the attack power of the bone-winged horses is very strong. They rely on the bones in their rear to attack. Our target isn't the colts or stallions, but the old horses that are injured and have impaired mobility. When Lao Qi uses the fire fox blood to drive them, that's when we strike. Jiang Shan said in a deep voice. The other hunters also understood their tasks, each one getting ready. Even the battle-hardened hunters felt nervous when facing such late-stage qi-controlling desolate beasts, as one careless move could cost them their lives. Everyone picked up their weapons. Jiang Shan opened a bamboo tube he carried with him, containing fire fox blood, and let everyone dab some of it onto their spears. Fire fox blood was lethal to bone-winged horses. This knowledge came from years of hunting experience shared by the human race in Changpan Valley. Xiao Hozi, go over there and watch how we deal with these bone-winged horses. Learn how to hunt. Jiang Shan told Xiang Beifei to move to a relatively safe hillside nearby. Xiang Beifei didn't say much and went over. Jiang Shan found a position, examining the terrain. It was sunken, a perfect setup for an ambush if the bone-winged horses passed by. The target is that old horse. Don't bother with the foals. Jiang Shan instructed again to his subordinates. In the group, there was an old horse whose bone wings seemed ready to fall off. One bone wing was drooping, and the other was broken, as if it had been cut off in a struggle with some desolate beast. The bone wings were their strongest weapon. Losing them was like a tiger losing its claws and teeth. To be safe, Jiang Shan chose to target this old horse. At this time, Jiang Chuan and his team had each made their way over, surrounding the bone-winged horse group from different directions. In the forest came a shoo sound, as a spear dipped with fire fox blood was thrown at the bone-winged horses from behind. The bone-winged horse group instantly became chaotic, each trying to avoid the spear. The scent of fire fox blood deeply terrified them, causing the herd to scatter with the stallions quickly lifting the foals on their bone wings and began to run. But from both sides, spears were also thrown out, blocking their escape routes, forcing the herd towards Jiang Shan's direction. By this time, Jiang Shan's side was well prepared. They did not stop the stallions and young horses as they ran past, because the stallions were tough to handle. As the herd ran past, the old horse at the back was the slowest, limping along. Now's the time, Jiang Shan shouted. A few hunters with spears prepared to charge, but at this moment, a sharp neigh resounded, coming from the leader of the bone-winged horses. It seemed to sense something, and with a shrill cry, all the bone-winged horses stopped. Only then did Jiang Shan's team realize something was wrong because a young bone-winged horse, perhaps playful, had followed the old horse and separated from the herd. Retreat! Retreat! Jiang Shan urgently shouted. The bone-winged horse group was extremely protective of their young. If the old horse was in danger, they would not care, but if a foal was in danger, all the bone-winged horses would rush to protect it. This was why Jiang Shan warned everyone not to harm the foals. At this moment, the strong leader of the bone-winged horses led the charge back, flapping its bone wings towards the young foal. Just as Jiang Shan and his team revealed themselves, the red bone-winged horse saw that it wasn't its natural enemy, the fire fox, but humans, and immediately let out a fierce killing intent, its sharp bone wings stabbing towards Jiang Shan and the others. Retreat! Jiang Shan reacted quickly, pushing aside a younger, weaker companion, while he gathered strength to swing his spear towards the bone-winged horse leader's razor-sharp bone wings. Bang! Bang! The spear and bone wings collided, exploding with the sound of metals striking in the forest. Jiang Shan took a step back, but the bone-winged horse was also pushed back several steps. Huh? My strength seems to have increased. Jiang Shan was surprised to find that the strength within his body seemed to have upgraded by more than just a level. Normally, he would not be able to compete with this bone-winged horse, but he somehow managed to withstand the attack today and even repelled the opponent. This was, of course, due to Xiang Beifei, who removed the moonprint goo worm from Jiang Shan's arm, restoring the strength devoured by the worm back to Jiang Shan's body. Allowing the human race to control their own strength without having to draw it from the moonprint goo worm made them naturally much more powerful. It seems the Divine Lord is protecting me. Jiang Shan didn't know the reason, but his spirits were lifted, and his fighting spirit was stirred. Whoosh! By this time, the bone-winged horse had once again lifted its bone wings, slashing towards him. The sharp bone wings gleamed like blades, flashing with an icy glow, and with a whooshing sound, they severed the trees nearby at the waist. Crack! 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 The towering trees leaned towards the hunters, prompting everyone to flee in panic. At this moment, 2 hunters happened to be running towards the foal and were spotted by 2 strong bone-winged horses. Mistaking the hunters' intention to harm the foal, the horses immediately neighed loudly and charged. The young hunter at the forefront tried to fend them off clumsily with his spear, but before he could lift it, it was quickly swept aside by the bone wings. It's over. The young hunter was left without a spear, plunging into despair as he watched the bone wings, sharp as daggers, slash towards his head. "Anyo!" From a distance, Jiang Shan shouted, using his spear to fend off the bone wings in a bid to rescue, but he was too far away to lend a hand. At this precarious moment, a whistling sound was heard from the forest, and an arrow swiftly darted through the leaves, striking right into the eye socket of the charging bone-winged horse with a whoosh. The bone-winged horse let out a miserable cry. Propelled by the immense force of the arrow, it was flung far away, colliding with another bone-winged horse. Entangled together with a thump, the blade from the first bone-winged horse pierced into the eye socket of the other. The 2 bone-winged horses struggled for a moment, gradually ceasing their fight, dead. All the hunters were stunned. They had never imagined that 2 such strong bone-winged horses could meet such a dramatic demise. One took an arrow to the eye socket, flung away, and its own bone wing even pierced the eye socket of the other bone-winged horse. What an incredible coincidence! Whose archery could be so precise? The arrow had a white glow when it was shot. Could the divine envoy have appeared? Someone exclaimed excitedly. Everyone looked towards the direction from which the arrow flew, and then they were slightly stunned. The archer wasn't the winged divine envoy, but Xiang Beifei. Was it Xiao Houzi's arrow? The hunters below had just thought of this idea and found it absurd. How could Xiao Houzi possess such skill? He usually didn't enjoy hunting, didn't have much strength, and couldn't even fully draw a bow. Yet the arrow did indeed come from that direction, and there seemed to be no one else besides him. Xiang Beifei stood calmly on a branch, holding a bow and arrow. Dealing with desolate beasts of this level was as easy as turning over a hand for him. Normally, he wouldn't even bother to act against beasts of this strength because they were just too weak. However, for the humans here, taking out 2 bone-winged horses with archery was like a myth. Only someone with terrifying abilities could achieve such a feat. At this point, another bone-winged horse raced towards Anyo with a whistling sound. "Dodge!" Xiang Beifei shouted at the stunned Anyo, then unhurriedly retrieved another arrow from his back, strung it on the bow, aiming at the bone-winged horse. Whoosh! The fierce arrow shot out again, transforming into a faint light, and in an instant, pierced through the eye socket of that bone-winged horse as well. He shot it again. It really is Xiao Houzi. These hunters were all in shock. They hadn't expected Xiao Houzi's archery to reach such a level, penetrating the eye socket of a bone-winged horse with one arrow after another. With just 2 arrows, 3 bone-winged horses were killed.